Good and fair evening, friends and patrons of the tavern. Matty, thank you for the raiding, our chatty friend, bringing in... Oop, I'm listening to myself. What an arrogant twat I am. Hello, my friends, welcome back. It's good to see you all. As I have mentioned, the lady and I are in recovery for our time with the plague. Second time you startled me, I did my best, Matty. I'm working on becoming a living jump scare. That's my life's ambition now. I'm giving up this whole storytelling gag, and I'm gonna just jump scare people all the time. Upside Down Ashley, hello! I'm back in Texas, and for now, missed you all. We missed you too. I'm very glad that you could make it back. Let's give Matty a toot on the raid horn over here. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Welcome in to all of the friends that came with Matty. I'm sure many of you are already tavern patrons, but if you're not, I am Castle. This is my tavern, and here we talk about myth and lore and tales of yore. Over here to my left, which I think is my left, yeah. We have the beautiful lady of the tavern. Well, because I don't remember which of the cameras I have inverted, so you know it's magical. Ashley, thank you. Upside Down, both Ashleys are in now. Hello, Ashley, love, good to see you. Upside Down, Ashley, thank you for the TD Deenies. Tips to the tavern keeper, always appreciated. Oh. Let's see, who all do we have? We have Frost, we have the Capitan, we have Bear, we have Fernando, we have Motivated Monster, we've got Sir Chatty Matty, we've got Kristen, we've got the Ghost of Esther and Elsie. We have both Ashleys. We have Milu. Who else? Upside Down Ashley is on TikTok and on Twitch. Molly Sue, hello, welcome in. Frostbeard, Teresa. And of course the lovely lady is in as well. Hello, my friends. I'm so glad that you could all join us this fine weathered evening. So the music that I have in the background right now... K-Babe, hello, good to see you. Just so you know, you're the only person on the planet that I call Babe other than my wife. The Bear, hello, my friend. The music that is on right now, we license through a platform called Soundstripe. They curate playlists from artists who make copyright-free music. Fire Deck, hello, my friend. Thank you for the gorilla. Tips to the tavern keeper, always appreciated. Yeah, I don't often... Do I ever call... I don't think I've ever actually called you babe. I might have been lying. I don't think I ever actually call you babe, do I? Yeah.
I call you babe.
You call me babe. Destiny Love, thank you for 55 months of being a dedicated patron to the tavern. No, I don't think that I do, because I call her Lovey. I call her by her name. I call her my darling. I call her sweetheart. I call her my love. I have all kinds of gratuitous things that I say that are probably cheesy for most people. No, I don't think that I do. Well then, we've learned something about me this evening. Jessica, hello, welcome in. And Ashley, I do feel better. I still have a bit of crud in my lungs, and I'm still a bit congested, so is the lady. But we are much better. My darling is beautiful. Yes, she is, as a matter of fact. Yes, she is, Esther. Like most men here, he only opens his mouth to change his feet. Precisely, Bear. That's how we work. It's okay. We call each other Honey Bear. Honey Bear is cute. That is cute. Yes, Esther. How are you and Johnny and the fur baby feeling? My favorite is the lady because it makes me think she's mystical. She is mystical. That is also a thing that is true. But I do call her the lady, that's true, and I also call her my lady. I think my lady and my love and my darling are the ones I use the most. Ugh. I sound like a Pride and Prejudice Tumblr blog now that I think about it. Stop calling you those things, or stop making my silly jokes. Okay. Oh, that's very funny though. I mean, where else are you supposed to put your feet if not in your mouth? Actually, never mind. No, get that. No, don't. Yeah, keep that off the internet. Never mind. Never mind. Forget I said that. I didn't say that. Nobody clip that and put it anywhere. We're just gonna move on from this section of conversation entirely. Yeah. No, I've lollygagged here too long. I was just putting my foot in my mouth though. That's alright, Maddie. We can do it later. We can do more feet and mouth later. How is the music, everyone? Is the music... Because we took a little bit of time to dial in the music before I got on. Can everybody hear it? And am I loud enough over the music that the music is... I'm not competing with the music, but you can still hear it. And somebody had asked where the music came from. We license it through a platform called Soundstripe. They do a lot of things with independent artists who make lyrical and non-lyrical music that sort of just is copyright free through the platform. So, for a fee, that's right. We pay a certain amount each month, and then we can use it when we do... Is the music too loud, or am I too quiet, Bear? Marissa says it's a good balance. My first wife used to be able to sit on the floor and put her toes up in her ears. I could have done that when I was a younger man. No longer, though. And thank you, Esther. I am feeling better. I do appreciate you saying so. If you can remember, you can announce me by Kelsey in the future. Kelsey would probably be better, but we'll see if I can remember it.
It takes a little while, but you usually do remember.
Yeah, I usually do remember everybody by, because like most of the people in here, I call them by their name unless they've asked me otherwise. Like Matty is obviously Matty, but he's Sir Chatty Matty here. I know Milu's name, but Milu prefers Milu. I call Motivated Monster Marissa because she's a friend of ours. I call Molly Sue's name is Molly Sue, obviously. I call Esther Esther. I've only recently stopped accidentally calling Bear John over the last couple of months, so...
Yeah. Sometimes I still...
Well, because if you're seeing him on Facebook, his name still comes up as John.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I know you guys usually have me up loud, which is why I'm adjusting the music. So we can turn the music down a smidge. But I just want to make sure you guys can still hear the music. I don't mind Sam either, but I think it would possibly be confusing. Yeah, because I remember your name is Samantha, but I call you Milu. Yeah, it took me a little bit to get used to not calling you John though. Trevor Castle, nice name. Thank you kindly. I appreciate you. Yeah, Castle. We share a last name. We might be related. Darth Nexus, hello. Wait. We saw what, baby? Oh yeah, Milu. We saw your axolotl on your live. The amount of short form streamers that come up for Milu is fun to hear. Is it really? That's funny. I call Destiny Queen of the Make Matty Hungry cult. Another cult, huh? Matty, you're gonna get out of hand with this. You're gonna be put on a list somewhere. I'm trying to get into TikTok, but it's not logging me in. Well, that's no fun. I hear you more clearly than the background music. I do prefer to be addressed as Esther. Yes, I do, and that's usually how I call you, is Esther. Except for right when you come in, or if I missed one of your messages, then I call you the Ghost of Esther. So still Esther, but with an honorific. Yeah, it was just for a minute, and I think that the lady clipped it for the channel where it was just like one little 15-second it walked right in front of the camera and then walked away. I'm definitely the ghost here. Saturday they'll be getting a water change and hopefully worms if the worm tub is healthy and strong enough. They will be getting worms is a weird thing to say. I love a good butterbeer. Good butterbeer is hard to find, I'll tell you. Darth Nexus, hello. I said hello. Thank you for the heart me and the go populars, my friend. Tips to the Tavern Keeper, always appreciated. Yeah, obviously, I know you're not trying to give your pets worms, at least hopefully not. So butterbeer is from Harry Potter. It is something that they drink quite regularly in... Wait, which one is this? Okay. That's... I don't know. That's fine. But butterbeer is actually a really old recipe made from sugar, butter, and stout beer. The kind of butterbeer that you would get at, say, a theme park or at most restaurants that serve it is not proper butterbeer. BRB, need to go hunt down some water. That's quite alright. Before I forget, Castle, I love Moby Duck, Bear. Moby Duck is a spectacular song. I've been contemplating whether or not I should recommend it for songs during story time. I love Moby Duck. Moby Duck is a great song. It is a wonderful song.
I don't know why that sounds
Moby Duck. So, okay, alright. Sage, hello, just finished the first draft of book 2. I was good to hear. So, Moby Duck is a song about a guy who moves to a lake to retire and have a peaceful life. And there is a monstrous duck that lives on this lake called Moby Duck, and it almost kills him and his entire crew. It's a hilarious song. It is hilarious. You know, hang on. I'm gonna go over the lyrics with you guys because I don't think you understand how truly hilarious this song is. It's one of the best songs ever written. I said sarcastically. So this is the first couple verses of the song. Yeah, we can absolutely sing it. I don't remember the tune. It's been a long time since I've listened to it, but it is absolutely 100% right up our alley. But it's very silly. It's more silly than most of the songs we sing that are silly. So after the only song we've sung that is sillier than this is the Kitty Man shanty, and it goes, after 14 years I left the sea for life upon a lake. After all the storms I'd seen, I needed a good break. I thought still waters would mean peace for me, but that was my mistake. For the place I chose was bed-eviled by a giant evil drake. A mallard of such malice twice the size of any man, a build to give you nightmares and a monstrous wingspan. You cannot hope to fight it, so avoid him if you can. The terrifying waterfowl, the beast beyond the dam. Row ho, row with all your might. Row with harpoons loaded and spoil for the fight. Row ho, and with any luck, we'll win the day and do away with the dreaded Moby Duck. It is such a good song. I absolutely love Moby Duck. Okay, so yeah, I'll listen to the tune on the break, and we'll do Moby Duck, and then I think Petra had requested Valhalla Calling last time. I should be feeling up to it. I'm here just doing some monthly paperwork. You're good, Ashley. I appreciate you, love. I appreciate you showing up to bartend. It's just such a funny song. It's in the real spirit of like old Irish country shanties and ballads, where you're singing about something ridiculous. It's like the song. I don't like how most people sing the song Cod Liver Oil, because Cod Liver Oil is supposed to be like a funny song. Most people sing it like very dramatically and sad. It's great. I've got tears of laughter. It's so good, Bear. I'm glad you brought it up, because I've been contemplating whether or not I ever wanted to do it for Storytime, and so now we are. Thanks to Bear, we will now all share in the glory of Moby Duck. All right, my friends. Yeah. All right, my friend. Herring, I don't know if I said hello, but hello. I mean, Drake really is kind of evil. This is the singer, right? You're talking about the singer?
I believe there is a singer named that.
I believe there is. The lady and I are so far out on most pop culture. I'm sorry if I don't get the reference.
Mainly with music, like we don't.
Yeah, we don't listen to most modern music unless it's reflective of old music, because we're old people. Elizabeth, no, we have not started the story. We're actually literally just now starting. I waffled for a bit before we got on, and we are starting chapter 21 of The Unknowable Room in Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. So, if you'll all grab your seats, settle down, fill a mug. It is story time. Well, of course they are, Matty. That's to be expected. The tavern is your most prominent community. Up until you joined the tavern, you were just a shy little Canadian boy who hid in his room. And now you're a much less shy and much more talkative Canadian boy who still hides in his room, but also plays video games and writes. I want to get a water cooler in my room too. It's alright, we love you for it. That means you're growing. That's not an ouch moment, Matty. It means you're growing. I'll leave you, Castle, and the little moonling, and that is deeply appreciated, Esther. I appreciate you. And that's true. What Frost has said is true. That means the majority of your viewers are new to your channel. So, alright, let us begin, my friends. Chapter 21 of Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, The Unknowable Room. Harry racked his brain over the next week as to how he was to persuade Slughorn to hand over the true memory. But nothing in the nature of a brainwave occurred, and he was reduced to doing what he did increasingly these days when at a loss, poring over his potions book, hoping that the prince would have scribbled something useful in a margin, as he had done so many times before. "You won't find anything in there," said Hermione firmly, late on a Sunday evening. "Don't start, Hermione," said Harry. "If it hadn't been for the prince, Ron wouldn't be sitting here now." "He would have if you just listened to Snape in our first year," said Hermione dismissively. Harry ignored her. He'd just found an incantation, Sectum Sempra, scrawled in the margin above the intriguing words, "For enemies," and was itching to try it out, but thought it best not to in front of Hermione. Instead, he surreptitiously folded down the corner of the page. They were sitting there beside the fire in the common room, and the only other people awake were a few fellow sixth years. "Erin, hello! I'm glad you made it in. I heard you had quite a bit of a row with having a tire drama. I hope that all is well and you've found yourself to the end of it." There had been a certain amount of excitement earlier when they had come back from dinner to find a new sign on the notice board that announced the date of their operation test. Those who would be 17 on or before the first test date, the 21st of April, had the option of signing up for additional practice sessions, which would take place, heavily supervised, in Hogsmeade. Ron had panicked on reading this notice. He had still not managed to apparate and feared he would not be ready for the test. Hermione, who had now achieved apparition twice, was a little more confident, but Harry, who would not be 17 for another 4 months, could not take the test whether ready or not. "At least you can apparate, though," said Ron tensely. "You'll have no trouble come July." "I've only done it once," Harry reminded him, and he had finally managed to disappear and rematerialize in his hoop during their previous lesson. Having wasted a lot of time worrying aloud about apparition, Ron was now struggling to finish a viciously difficult essay for Snape that Harry and Hermione had already completed. Harry fully expected to receive low marks on this because he had disagreed with Snape on the best way to tackle Dementors. He did not care. Slughorn's memory was the most important thing to him now. "I'm telling you, the stupid prince isn't going to help you with this, Harry," said Hermione more loudly. "There's only one way to force someone to do what you want, and that's the Imperious Curse, which is illegal." "Yeah, I know that. Thanks," said Harry, not looking up from the book. "That's why I'm looking for something different. Dumbledore says Veritaserum won't do it, but there might be something else, a potion or a spell." "You're going about it the wrong way," said Hermione. "Only you can get the memory, Dumbledore says. That must mean you can persuade Slughorn what other people can't. It's not a question of slipping him a potion. Anyone could do that." How do you spell belligerent?" said Ron, shaking his quill very hard while staring at the parchment. "It can't be B-U-M." "No, it isn't," said Hermione, pulling Ron's essay towards her. "And Augury doesn't begin O-R-G either. What kind of quill are you using?" "It's one of Fred and George's spell check ones. But I think the charm must be wearing off." "Yes, it must," said Hermione, pointing to the title of his essay. "Because we were asked how we would deal with Dementors, not dog bugs. And I don't remember you changing your name to Runal Waslib either." "Savage."
Honestly, like the way you do her voice, she's extra annoying.
She's supposed to be, though.
I know, that's what I mean. Like it's just.
That is how Rowling wrote her, is to be very obnoxious. She's supposed to be overbearing and condescending.
Like, she's such a party
She is. Yeah, it wasn't cheap, but it feels good to try. The lady and I had to do that a little while back. We had 2 tire blowouts over the course of 3 weeks, and so we had to go and get 4 brand new tires. It was ridiculous, but it is nice to have the peace of mind of having fresh tires on. You've misplaced your card. What card did you misplace, Erin? Hopefully not a payment card. That's terrible. Don't do that. 876. Oh, that's a lot. Fortunately, I'm one of those guys, so I have a guy for everything. So we have a tire guy. And the tire guy, we managed to get, what did we get? We got all 4 tires for like $400, right? Something like that? A little bit more than that?
Yeah, a little more than 400.
It was Michelin. Ah, yep, see, that would be why.
It's like, I think it was around 115, 120 for each.
So probably about 500 for all 5.
Yeah.
Where did you... Erin, you're supposed to hold on to that. I got one of my guys at work to put them on for Chipotle. I mean, that's, yeah. Whatever you can do, right? Ross just had to replace all 4 of our tires last month. It must have been tire replacement season. We're all doing that. Did you, Esther? I did not get a single notification for it, but thank you. I didn't get anything. This has happened a lot. You're probably the fourth person this week, Esther, or over the last 2 weeks, who's done so, and it didn't pop up. So I appreciate you. Thank you kindly. No, take that back. We don't need tire replacement season in the tavern. I'm saying that's the season that it was. Like, I'm just observing a lot of us had to replace our tires is all. I thought all of my kids were asleep. They all just came through. That's jarring. You think they're all, you're like, what are these creatures haunting my relaxed time? I mean, I got the runs yesterday during... Thank you for sharing that with us, Maddie. I appreciate that. It might be outside because the kids need to eat and we ordered pizza. Well, make sure you find it, and if you don't find it within the next half hour, call your bank and make sure you freeze it so nobody steals your money. Just be quick and be responsible about it. One by freaking one, I'm bored. Of course you are. Go to sleep. That's right. We say that to Everett all the time. He's like, but I'm bored. He's like, yeah, you're supposed to be. Be bored until you fall asleep. That's what you do at night. It's dark. Aaron, it doesn't matter if it's dark. It doesn't matter if it's... Go get your card. It's dark and raining. Go find your card. 2 of my tires were starting to peel, and the only reason I found out was that I took it to my mechanic because the car was shuddering. $2,800 later. Ooh. Good lord. Alright, well, this is depressing talk. I'm gonna get back to the story, since I don't think any of us want to talk about all of the money we've had to spend on auto repairs. Melody's worst fear is to be bored before to sleep. That's what preludes sleep. Good sleep is preluded by being bored. Bug just came out to ask if he could fill up his water bottle. You shouldn't even have that. You went to bed hours ago. Just go to sleep. Right. Everett will walk out of his room at like 3 in the morning and be like, can I have a snack? Like, no. No, you cannot have a snack. At 3 in the morning, go to bed. I was lucky the tires didn't explode. Yeah, because that's what happened to us, Bear, is that we had one tire blow out. Well, actually, no, both tires blew out on the freeway, and I had to get out and change them with cars going 80 miles an hour past us. It was not pleasant. Glad Johnny, technician who fixes cars and gets a discount. That is preferable. I used to work for a dealership, and we made getting cars and fixing cars much cheaper than it is now. Now I can't even fix my own cars because I don't have any tools or any place to do it. I prefer to work on my own cars. I just don't have any place I can do it anymore where we live now because it's not enough space. I have a great deal with my mechanic. He's my bestie's husband, and the deal is I take my nieces for a night or two and he does the work for free. I pay for parts. That's a hell of a deal. That's a hell of a deal. There was air bubbles in both. Ooh, yeah, that's dangerous, Bear. I'm glad that you're okay, because that could have gone very badly. Yeah, it's funny because Una and Everett, I had never watched TV while going to bed, but Una and Everett, when we first got together, always watched TV when going to bed or had something on in the background to go to bed, and that was weird for me because I'd always gone to sleep in total darkness and silence. I've gotten used to it, but I still sleep better when I have total darkness and silence. Bear, why did you say randomly Montana? Did I miss another message? Sorry, my messages was a little bit all over the place. That's alright, Esther. Don't worry about it. And my text said that I have an oil leak. Fun. Oh, that might not be. That might be. As long as it's not a... But my tire pressure monitoring says it went off. That's good. That's good. We'll just take the small wins. Yes, it could have. Someone was looking out for me. Castle, I watch television and fall asleep. I do not snack at 3 a.m. See, I grew up without electricity, so I sleep best when I have total silence and complete darkness. And I know that that's very weird in the 21st century. But like, I'll get earplugs and I'll put a thing over my eyes, and that's when I get the best sleep. Well, yeah, for the lady, it's because she gets, like, she'll get preoccupied with things, and I do too sometimes. Because we work a lot, and if we don't get enough done, we don't feel like we accomplished anything. Ran out of water again, I'll be back. It's as long as you're drinking plenty of water. I can't sleep with anything on, says Marissa. Sorry, by the way, I have next to no filter right now. That's alright, Matty, don't worry about it, brother. Oleander, thank you for the follow over on TikTok. Welcome to the tavern, my friend. I'm so very glad that you could join us. Molly Sue, you said, I do the same. If I take a nap during the day, blocks out the noise around me. Yeah, I just... where I grew up, because like my grandfather's house had electricity, but the room that I slept in didn't have any proper lights. So it was always dark there, and then a couple of my uncles, the houses they lived didn't have electricity or any sort of even running water, and my parents didn't have electricity or running water. So there was no noise in the houses that I grew up in, really. They were like very, very quiet. And now like I can hear our refrigerator all the way in the bedroom. Because I'm partially deaf from my ears being damaged. But I can still hear the hum in the walls for some reason. I'm deaf to being able to hear voices, but I can hear the humming still. I sleep to night sounds, stuff like thunderstorms or waves, that's the best. I will say ambient sounds like that, they do help me sleep. I have selective hearing, so the sound from the TV drowns out all the others. That can be helpful. I also wear earplugs. Elsie removes them from my ears. That's not very good. Tyson, hello, my friend. How are you doing? How was your evening? Let's see, Bear. I missed what Bear had said last. Why is this different? Why is this different? Oh, it's behind, that's why. Oh, somewhere to work on your car. Yes. Okay, hang on a second. Hang on a sec, guys. My combined chat is messed up. I need it because I'm not getting everything. Give me just a second. Marissa, thank you for the bits. Appreciate you for that. Tips to the tavern keeper always appreciated. And yeah, Montana will definitely give me a place where I can work on my own things. Coda, Boo, and Milo are all wonderful. Milo and Boo are sleeping in the boys' room, I think. One might be snuggling with Mom. And Coda is probably laying somewhere over by Mom. Or in the hallway. Where like he do. So we're off to a completely normal start now. We're 35 minutes in of rounds 5. Yeah, I'm back to story. You're right, Frost. Thank you for putting me back on track. The bits have been sitting there a while, apparently. Did I miss anything else? Okay. Does not appear as though I have missed anything else. Good. Alright. Alright, friends, back to stories. If you don't mind. Okay, where were we? Oh, that's right, Runal Waslib. Oh no! Said Ron, staring horror-struck at the parchment. Don't say I'll have to write out the whole thing again. It's okay, I can fix it, said Hermione, pulling the essay toward her and taking out her wand. I love you, Hermione. Uh-oh, said Ron, sinking back into his chair, rubbing his eyes wearily. Hermione turned faintly pink, but merely said, Don't let Lavender hear you saying that. I won't, said Ron into his hands. Or maybe I will, and she'll ditch me. Why don't you ditch her if you want it to finish it? Said Harry. You haven't ever chucked anyone, have you? Said Ron. You and Cho just... Yeah, it sort of fell apart, yeah, said Harry. Wish that would happen with me and Lavender, said Ron gloomily, watching Hermione silently tapping each of his misspelled words with the end of her wand so that they corrected themselves on the page. But the more I hate it wanting to finish it, the tighter she holds on. It's like going out with a giant squid. There, said Hermione, some 20 minutes later, handing back Ron's essay. Thanks a million, said Ron. Can I borrow your quill for the conclusion? Harry, who had found nothing useful in the Half-Blood Prince's notes so far, looked around. The three of them were now the only ones left in the common room. Seamus having gone up to bed, cursing Snape and his essay. The only sounds were the crackling of the fire and Ron scratching out one last paragraph on Dementors using Hermione's quill. Harry had just closed the Half-Blood Prince's book, yawning, when... Crack! Hermione let out a little shriek. Ron spilled ink all over his freshly completed essay, and Harry said, Creature! The house elf bowed low and addressed his own gnarled toes. Master said he wanted regular reports on what the Malfoy boy is doing, so Creature has come to give. Crack! Dobby appeared alongside Creature, his tea-cozy hat askew.
Dobby has been helping too, Harry Potter,
he squeaked, casting Creature a resentful look.
And Creature ought to tell Dobby when he's coming to see Harry Potter, so that they can make reports together.
What is this? Said Hermione, looking still shocked by these sudden appearances. What's going on, Harry? Harry hesitated before answering, because he had not told Hermione about Creature, setting Creature and Dobby to tail Malfoy. House elves were always such touchy subjects with her. Well, they've been following Malfoy for me, he said. Night and day. Night and day? Croaked Creature.
Dobby has not slept for a week, Harry Potter,
said Dobby proudly, swaying where he stood. Hermione looked indignant. You haven't slept, Dobby. But surely, Harry, you didn't tell him not to. No, of course I didn't, said Harry quickly. Dobby, you can sleep, all right? But has either of you found anything? He hastened to ask before Hermione could intervene again. Master Malfoy lives with a nobility that befits his pure blood, croaked Creature at once. His features recall his fine bones of my mistress, and his manners are those of...
Draco Malfoy is a bad boy,
squeaked Dobby angrily.
A bad boy who...
He shuddered from the tassel of his tea-cosy to the toes of his socks, and then ran to the fire, as though about to dive into it. Harry, to whom this was not entirely unexpected, caught him around the middle and held him fast. For a few seconds, Dobby struggled, and then he went limp.
Thank you, Harry Potter,
he panted.
Dobby still finds it difficult to speak ill of his old masters.
Harry released him. Dobby straightened his tea-cosy and said defiantly to Creature,
But Creature should know that Draco Malfoy is not a good master to a house elf.
Yeah, we don't need to hear about you being in love with Malfoy, Harry told Creature. Let's fast forward to where he's actually been going. Creature bowed again, looking furious, and then said, Master Malfoy eats in the Great Hall. He sleeps in a dormitory in the dungeons. He attends classes in a variety of... Dobby, you tell me, said Harry, cutting across Creature. Has he been going anywhere that he shouldn't have?
Harry Potter, sir,
squeaked Dobby, his great orb-like eyes shining in the firelight.
The Malfoy boy is breaking no rules that Dobby can discover, but he is still keen to avoid detection. He has been making regular visits to the 7th floor with a variety of other students who keep watch for him while he enters.
The Room of Requirement, said Harry, smacking himself hard on the forehead. With advanced potion making, Hermione and Ron stared at him. That's where he's been sneaking off to. That's where he's doing whatever he's doing. And I bet that's why he's been disappearing off the map. Come to think of it, I've never seen the Room of Requirement on there. Maybe the Marauders never knew the room was there, said Ron. I think it'll be a part of the magic of the room, said Hermione. If you need it to be unplottable, it will be. Dobby, have you managed to get in and have a look at what Malfoy's doing? Said Harry eagerly.
No, Harry Potter, that is impossible,
said Dobby. No, it's not, said Harry at once. Malfoy's got into our headquarters there last year, so I'll be able to get in and spy on him, no problem. But I don't think you will, Harry, said Hermione slowly. Malfoy already knew exactly how we were using the room, didn't he? Because that stupid Marietta had blabbed. He needed the room to become the headquarters of the DA, so it did. But you don't know what the room becomes when Malfoy goes in there. So you don't know what to ask it to transform into. There'll be a way around that, said Harry dismissively. You've done brilliantly, Dobby. Creature has done well too, said Hermione kindly, but far from looking grateful, Creature averted his huge bloodshot eyes and croaked at the ceiling.
The Bloodbird is speaking to Creature. Creature will pretend he cannot hear.
Get out of it, Harry snapped at him, and Creature made one last deep bow and disapparated. You better go and get some sleep too, Dobby.
Thank you, Harry Potter, sir,
squeaked Dobby happily, and he too vanished. How good is this? Said Harry enthusiastically, turning to Ron and Hermione, the moment the room was elf-free again. We know where Malfoy's going. We've got him cornered now. Yeah, it's great, said Ron glumly, who was attempting to mop up the sodden mass of ink that had recently been his almost completed essay. Hermione pulled it towards her again and began siphoning the ink off with her wand. But what's all this about him going up there with a variety of students? Said Hermione. How many people are in on it? You wouldn't think he'd trust lots of them to know what he's doing. Yeah, that is weird, said Harry, frowning. I heard him tell Crabbe it wasn't Crabbe's business what he was doing. So what's he telling all these... Harry's voice tailed off, and he was staring at the fire. God, I've been stupid, he said quietly. Isn't it obvious, isn't it? There was a great vat down in the dungeon. He could have nicked some any time during that lesson. Nick, what? Said Ron. Polyjuice potion. He stole some of the Polyjuice potion Slughorn showed us in our first potions lesson. There are a whole variety of students standing guard for Malfoy. It's just Crabbe and Goyle as usual, yeah? It all fits, said Harry, jumping up and starting to pace in front of the fire. They're stupid enough to do what they're told, even if he won't tell them what he's up to. But he doesn't want them to be seen lurking around outside the Room of Requirement. So he's got them taking Polyjuice potion to make them look like other people. There's 2 girls I saw him with when he missed Quidditch. Ha! Crabbe and Goyle! What you mean to say, said Hermione in a hushed voice, that little girl whose scales are repaired? Yeah, of course, said Harry loudly, staring at her. Of course, Malfoy had been inside the room at the time. So she... What am I talking about? He dropped the scales to tell Malfoy not to come out, because there was someone there. And there was that girl who dropped the toad spawn too. We've been walking past him all this time, not realising it. He's got Crabbe and Goyle transformed into girls, guffawed Ron. Blimey, no wonder they don't look happy these days. I'm surprised they don't tell him to stuff it. Well, they wouldn't, would they? If he's shown them his dark mark, said Harry. The dark mark we don't know exists, said Hermione skeptically, rolling up Ron's dried essay before they could come to any more harm in handing it to him. We'll see, said Harry confidently. Yes, we will, Hermione said, getting to her feet and stretching. Mary Beth, hello, welcome in. Marina, hello, good to see you. I'm so very glad that you're in. Been fighting for my life. My company gave me an automatic transmission truck. My youngest son wrecked my personal truck. My youngest daughter graduated and left for the military Monday. It's been hell. That is a crazy amount of things to happen. Well, settle in, grab yourself a seat, and relax for a bit in the tavern, away from the wars. Happy Hunt, thank you for the follow over on TikTok. Welcome to the tavern, my friend. For all the new folk who are in, I am Castle. This is my tavern, and here we talk about myth and lore and tales of yore. And every now and again I read you all a bedtime story. Tonight we are reading Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. We are on chapter 23 and we are a few pages in. I will say, I'm kind of picky about who I listen to with ASMR. Sometimes it's too much. ASMR I find to be strange. I don't enjoy it personally. I understand why people enjoy it. Because it's very intimate and sensual in the way that it tickles the back of your brain. For me, it's very uncomfortable. I do not enjoy it. But Marina, I'm so glad to see you. I'm glad that you. Well, I won't say all right, but I'm glad that you are alive and that everything is at least heading towards being all right. Yeah, I do find ASMR quite strange. I understand why people like it. I just personally don't. Alright, where was I? Yeah, it drives Matthew up to what? For some people, it is peak, and for some people, it is just not acceptable. Never cared for ASMR. ASMR is the same as someone annoyingly smacking next to me. It puts me on edge.
It depends on what it is.
Don't lie, you like the food sounds. I actually, because of how much emphasis my grandfather put on not eating loudly, because like, we already have loud meals, but my grandfather put a huge amount of emphasis on not eating like a slob. So when people eat slovenly, it makes me very uncomfortable. I'm just waiting for my grandfather to come out of nowhere and smack somebody.
One of those people that gets inordinately angry.
Val, hello. It was,
It's like a thing, like when you hear people eating,
yes.
it makes you angry.
Yeah.
It makes me angry.
Yeah, I don't think that I get angry, but I'm genuinely waiting. When I hear people eating loudly, I'm waiting for my grandfather to come out and hit them.
There's this commercial of a guy eating McDonald's.
My dad was the same way. Yeah.
I get so, like, I'm not just grossed out, I'm like mad. Like, I want to report.
Well, because like meals in my grandfather's house weren't exactly quiet. Like, because we usually would go around the table and tell stories and sing songs during meals, especially during festivals. But if you ate slovenly, like you just had food on your face, on your fingers, and you're like chewing very loudly, then my grandfather would not tolerate ill manners. And more than a couple of times, I had seen him just crack one of my cousins, and even my uncles a couple of times when I was a boy. Well, we're all glad that you are alive, Marina, and we're glad to have you back. My great-grandfather stabbed my Grandpa Jaeger in the hand with a meat-serving fork for reaching across the table. See, that's how my grandfather is. Good ASMR is rage bait. Oh, food ASMR is rage bait. I was about to say good. I don't know if I know enough about ASMR to understand the reference, but food ASMR, yes, I would agree. Mukbang is one of those things I just don't get, where you get those like Korean girls who are just like putting huge amounts of food in their mouth and like chewing it very loudly. Makes me very uncomfortable. I understand what the appeal is. It's not appealing to me. I understand why people like it, I dislike it for the exact same reason. Yeah, absolutely, Esther, absolutely. Bad table manners were likely to get a fork in the hand when I was young. Yeah, Mary Beth says rather my grandmother would be there too. Yeah, it's just one of those things. Wesley, hello, hello. Good to see you. CRJ says my dad was the same way. And like, I don't disagree with it. I mean, I don't necessarily think that violence is the answer unless people refuse to stop. But see, we always said thanks before meals. Like, you always say thank you for the meal that you have received. Lizard poke rap. Wesley, did you get replaced by a lizard person? Is that what happened? Like speaking lizard now? My grandmother had no problem smacking someone for bad manners. Here's the thing. Violence is the solution. Maybe not the answer, but violence is technically the solution to everything. That doesn't mean you should use it. It's like, solve this math problem. Rocket launcher. There's no more math problem. Not always the best decision, but it will get rid of the problem, at least momentarily. It's the lizard song, the lizard meme on TikTok. Yes, I have seen it. I don't understand it, even for a little bit, but yeah, I have seen it. It's ridiculous. I guess I'm too old to keep up with the memes. I must be getting there. Not the answer you needed, but the answer you wanted. Right. I mean, that's what Alexander the Great did. Okay, let's get back in, friends. Where were we?
But Harry, before you get all excited, I still don't think you'll be able to get into the room of requirement without knowing what's there first. And I don't think you should forget.
She heaved her bag onto her shoulder and gave him a very serious look.
That what you're supposed to be concentrating on is getting that memory from Slughorn. Good night.
Harry watched her go, feeling slightly disgruntled. Once the door to the girls' dormitory was closed behind her, he rounded on Ron.
What do you think?
Wish I could disapparate like a house elf, said Ron, staring at the spot where Dobby had vanished. I'd have that apparition test in the bag. Harry did not sleep well that night. He lay awake for what felt like hours, wondering how Malfoy was using the room of requirement, and what he, Harry, would see when he went in there the following day. For whatever Hermione said, Harry was sure that if Malfoy had been able to see the headquarters of the DA, he would be able to see Malfoy's... What could it be? A meeting place, a hideout, a storeroom, a workshop. Harry's mind worked feverishly in his dreams. When he finally fell asleep, were unbroken, disturbed images of Malfoy who turned on Slughorn, who turned into Snape. Harry was in a state of great anticipation over breakfast the following morning. He had a free period before Defense Against the Dark Arts and was determined to spend it trying to get into the Room of Requirements. Hermione was rather ostentatiously showing no interest in his whispered plans for forcing entry into the room, which irritated Harry because he thought she might be a lot of help if she wanted to. Look, he said quietly, leaning forward and putting a hand on the Daily Prophet, which she had just removed from an owl post, to stop her from opening it and vanishing behind it. I haven't forgotten about Slughorn, but I haven't got a clue how to get that memory off of him. And until I get a brainwave, why shouldn't I find out what Malfoy is doing? I already told you need to persuade Slughorn, said Hermione. It's not a question of tricking him or bewitching him, or Dumbledore would have done it in a second. Instead of messing around outside the Room of Requirement, she jerked the Prophet out from under Harry's hand and unfolded it to look at the front page. You should go and find Slughorn and start appealing to his better nature. Anyone we know? Asked Ron as Hermione scanned the headlines.
Yes,
said Hermione, causing both Harry and Ron to gag on their breakfast.
but it's all right, he's not dead. It's Mundungus. He's been arrested and sent to Azkaban. Something to do with impersonating an infernus during an attempted burglary. And someone called Octavius Pepper has vanished. Oh, and how horrible, a 9-year-old boy has been arrested for trying to kill his grandparents. They think he was under the Imperius curse.
They finished their breakfast in silence. Hermione set off immediately for ancient runes, Ron for the common room, where he still had to finish the conclusion on Snape's Dementor essay, and Harry for the corridor on the 7th floor, and the stretch of wall opposite the tapestry of Barnabas the Barmy teaching trolls to do ballet. Harry slipped on his invisibility cloak once he had found an empty passage, but he need not have bothered. When he reached the destination, he found it deserted. Harry was not sure whether his chances of getting inside the room were better if Malfoy was inside or out, but at least his first attempt was not going to be complicated by the presence of Crabbe or Goyle pretending to be an 11-year-old girl. He closed his eyes and approached the place where the room of requirements door was concealed. He knew what he had to do. He had become most accomplished at it last year. Concentrating with all his might, he thought, I need to see what Malfoy's doing in here. I need to see what Malfoy's doing in here. I need to see what Malfoy's doing in here. 3 times he walked past the door, then, his heart pounding with excitement, he opened his eyes and faced it. But he was still looking at a stretch of mundanely blank wall. He moved forward and gave it an experimental push, and the stone remained solid and unyielding. Okay, said Harry aloud. Okay, I thought the wrong thing. He pondered for a moment, then set off again, eyes closed, concentrating as hard as he could. I need to see the place where Malfoy keeps coming secretly. I need to see the place where Malfoy keeps coming secretly. After 3 walks past, he opened his eyes expectantly. There was no door. Oh, come off it, he told the wall irritably. That was a clear instruction. Fine. He thought hard for several minutes before striding off once more. I need you to become the place you become for Draco Malfoy. He did not immediately open his eyes when he had finished his patrolling. He was listening hard, as though he might hear the door pop into existence. He heard nothing, however, except the distant twittering of birds outside. He opened his eyes. There was still no door. Harry swore. Someone screamed. He looked around to see a gaggle of first years running back round the corner, apparently under the impression that they had encountered a particularly foul-mouthed ghost. Harry tried every variation of, I need to see what Draco Malfoy is doing inside you. Weird phrasing. That he could think of for a whole hour, and at the end of it, which he was forced to concede that Hermione might have had a point. The room simply did not want to open for him. Frustrated and annoyed, he set off for defense against the dark arts, pulling off his invisibility cloak and stuffing it into his bag as he went. Late again, Potter, said Snape coldly as Harry hurried into the candlelit classroom. 10 points from Gryffindor. Harry scowled at Snape as he flung himself into his seat beside Ron. Half the class was still on its feet, taking out books and organizing their things. He could not be much later than any of them. Before we start, I want your Dementor essays, said Snape, waving his wand carelessly, so that 25 scrolls of parchment soared into the air and landed in a neat pile on his desk. I hope for your sakes they're better than the tripe I had to endure on resisting the Imperius curse. Now, if you will all open your books to page... What is this, Mr. Finnegan?
Sir, said Seamus, I've been wondering, how do you tell the difference between an Inferius and a ghost? Because there's something in the paper about an Inferius.
No, there wasn't, said Snape in a bored voice.
Oh, sir, I heard people talking.
If you had actually read the article in question, Mr. Finnegan, you would have known that the so-called Inferius was nothing more but a smelly sneak thief by the name of Mundungus Fletcher.
I thought Snape and Mundungus were on the same side,
muttered Harry to Ron and Hermione.
Shouldn't he be upset that Mundungus has been arrested?
But Potter seems to have a lot to say on this subject, said Snape, pointing suddenly to the back of the room, his black eyes fixed on Harry. Let us ask Potter how he would tell the difference between an Inferius and a ghost. The whole class looked around at Harry, who hastily tried to recall what Dumbledore had told him the night he had gone to visit Slughorn.
Well, ghosts are transparent,
he said. Oh, very good, interrupted Snape, his lip curling. Yes, it is easy to see that nearly 6 years of magical education have not been wasted on you, Potter. Ghosts are transparent. Pansy Parkinson let out a high-pitched giggle, and several other people were smirking. Harry took a deep breath and continued calmly, though his insides were boiling.
Yeah, ghosts are transparent, but inferior dead bodies, aren't they? So they're solid.
A 5-year-old could have told us as much, sneered Snape. The Inferius is a curse that has been reanimated by a dark wizard's spell. It is not alive, it is merely used like a puppet to do the wizard's bidding. A ghost, as I trust you are all aware by now, is the imprint of a departed soul left upon the earth. And of course, as Potter has so wisely tells us, transparent.
Well, what Harry said was the most useful thing if we're trying to tell them apart, said Ron. When we come face to face with one down a dark alley, we're going to have to be having a shufty to see if it's solid, aren't we? We're not going to be asking, excuse me, are you an imprinted of the departed?
There was a ripple of laughter, instantly quelled by a look Snape gave the class. Another 10 points from Gryffindor, said Snape. I would expect nothing more sophisticated from you, Ronald Weasley. The boy so solid he cannot operate half an inch across the room.
No,
Hermione whispered, jabbing Harry's arm as he opened his mouth furiously.
There's no point. You'll just end up in detention again. Leave it.
Now open your books to page 213, said Snape, smirking a little, and read the first 2 paragraphs on the Cruciatus curse. Ron was very subdued all through class. When the bell sounded at the end of the lesson, Lavender caught up with Ron and Harry. Hermione mysteriously melted out of sight as she approached, and abused Snape hotly for his jibe at Ron's operation. But this seemed to merely irritate Ron, and he shook her off by making a detour to the boys' bathroom with Harry.
Snape's right, though, isn't he?
Said Ron after staring into a cracked mirror for 2 minutes.
I don't know whether it's worth me taking the test. I can't get the hang of operation. Might as well do the extra practice sessions in Hogsmeade and see where they get you,
said Harry reasonably.
Be more interesting than trying to get into a stupid hoop anyway. Then, if you're still not, as good as you'd like to be, you can postpone the test. Do it with me over the summer.
Myrtle, this is a boys' bathroom. The ghost of a girl had risen out of the toilet in a cubicle behind them, and was now floating in midair, staring at them through thick, white, round glasses.
Oh,
she said glumly.
It's you two.
Who are you expecting? Said Ron, looking at her in the mirror.
Nobody.
said Myrtle, picking moodily at the spot on her chin.
He said he'd come back to see me. But then you said you'd pop in and visit me too.
She gave Harry a reproachful look.
And I haven't seen you for months and months. I've learned not to expect too much from boys.
I thought you lived in that girl's bathroom.
Said Harry, who had been careful to give that place a wide berth for some years now.
I do.
She said with a sulky little shrug.
But that doesn't mean I can't visit other places. I came and saw you in the bath once, remember?
Vividly, said Harry.
But I thought he liked me.
She said plaintively.
Maybe if you two left, he'd come back again. We had lots in common. I'm sure he felt it.
And she looked hopeful towards the door. When you say you had lots in common, said Ron, sounding rather amused now, do you mean he lives in an S-Bin too?
No,
Said Myrtle, her voice echoing loudly around the old tiled bathroom.
I mean he's sensitive. People bully him too. And he feels lonely and he hasn't got anybody to talk to. And he's not afraid to show his feelings and cry.
There's been a crying boy in here, said Harry curiously. A young boy.
Never you mind,
Said Myrtle, her small leaky eyes fixed on Ron, who was now definitely grinning.
I promised I wouldn't tell anyone, and I'll take his secret to the...
Surely not the grave, Ron snorted. Sewers, maybe. Myrtle gave a howl of rage and dived back into the toilet, causing water to slop over the sides and onto the floor. Goading Myrtle seemed to have put a fresh heart into Ron. You're right, he said, swinging his school bag back over his shoulder. I'll do the practice sessions in Hogsmeade before I decide about taking the test. And so, the following weekend, Ron joined Hermione and the rest of the 6 years, who would turn 17 in time to take the test in a fortnight. Harry felt rather jealous watching them all get ready to go to the village. He missed making trips there, and it was a particularly fine spring day. One of the first clear skies they had seen in a long time. However, he had decided to use the time to attempt another assault on the Room of Requirements.
You'd do better,
Said Hermione when he confided his plan to Ron and her in the entrance hall,
to go straight to Slughorn's office and try and get that memory from him.
I've been trying, said Harry crossly. Which was perfectly true. He had lagged behind every potions lesson that week in an attempt to corner Slughorn, but the potions master always left the dungeon so fast that Harry had not been able to catch him. Twice Harry had gone to his office and knocked, but received no reply, though on the second occasion he was sure he had heard a quickly stifled sound of an old gramophone.
He doesn't want to talk to me, Hermione. He can tell I've been trying to get him on his own again, and he's not going to let it happen. Well, you just have to keep at it, haven't you?
The short queue of people waiting to file past Filch who was doing his usual prodding act with the secrecy censor, moved forward a few steps, and Harry did not answer in case he was overheard by the caretaker. He wished Ron and Hermione both luck, then turned and climbed the marble staircase again, determined, whatever Hermione said, to devote an hour or two to the Room of Requirement. Once out of sight of the entrance hall, Harry pulled the Marauder's map and his invisibility cloak from his bag. Having concealed himself, he tapped the map, murmured, "I solemnly swear I'm up to no good," and he scanned it carefully. Good night, Wesley. Rest well, my friend. I'm glad you were able to drop in. Maiko! Did we have Maiko raid in? We did, and I looked up just in time for it. Let's give Maiko a toot on the raid horn. If we haven't given him a shout-out yet, can I get one of our lovely barkeeps to shout out Maiko, please? Here we go. Thank you, Maiko. Head off, my friend. I hope you have a wonderful night. Thank you for bringing your friends and companions here to spend time with us. Give me just a moment, friends. I will be right back. You guys, you guys with the chair. The chair still looks like Cousin. That's very funny. Cindy Ingle, thank you for the follow over on TikTok. You've now marked us on your map. You should be able to find your way back whenever you seek a story. Val, cheers. Thank you for the roses. I appreciate you for it. Okay. Let us continue with the story, my friends. As it was Sunday morning, nearly all the students were inside their various common rooms, the Gryffindors in one tower, the Ravenclaws in another, the Slytherins in the dungeon, the Hufflepuffs in the basement near the kitchen. Here and there a stray person meandered around the library or up a corridor. There were a few people out in the grounds. And there, alone in the 7th floor corridor, was Gregory Goyle. There was no sign of the room of acquirement, but Harry was not worried about that. If Goyle was standing guard outside it, the room was open, whether the map was aware of it or not. He therefore sprinted up the stairs, slowing down only when he reached the corner into the corridor. Then he began to creep very slowly towards the very same little girl, clutching her heavy brass scales that Hermione had so kindly helped a fortnight before. He waited until he was right behind her before bending low and whispering, "Hello, you're very pretty, aren't you?" Goyle gave a high-pitched scream of terror, threw the scales up into the air, and sprinted away, vanishing a sight long before the sound of the scales smashing had stopped echoing around the corridor. Laughing, Harry turned to contemplate the blank wall behind which he was sure Draco Malfoy was now standing frozen, aware that someone unwelcome was out there, but not daring to make an appearance. It gave Harry a most agreeable feeling of power, as he tried to remember what form of words he had not yet tried. Yet this hopeful moon did not last long. Half an hour later, having tried many more variations of his request to see that Malfoy was up to, the wall was just as doorless as ever. Harry felt frustrated beyond belief. Malfoy might be just a few feet away from him, but there was still not the tiniest shred of evidence as to what he was doing in there. Losing his patience completely, Harry ran to the wall and kicked it. Ouch! Harry thought he might have broken his toe as he clutched it, hopped up and down on one foot. The invisibility cloak slipped off of him. Harry? He spun around one leg and toppled over. There, to his utter astonishment, was Tonks, walking toward him as though she frequently strolled this corridor. "What are you doing here?" she said, scrambling to his feet again. "Oh, what are you doing here?" he said, scrambling to his feet again. Why did she have to find him lying on the floor? "I came to see Dumbledore," she said. Harry thought she looked terrible, thinner than usual, her mouse-coloured hair lank. His office isn't here," said Harry. "It's round the other side of the castle, behind the gargoyle." "I know," said Tonks. "He's not there. Apparently he's gone away again." "Has he?" said Harry, putting his bruised foot gingerly back on the floor. "Hey, you don't know where he goes, I suppose?" "Oh, this is Harry. Hey, you don't know where he goes, I suppose?" "No," said Tonks. "What did you want to see him about?" "Nothing in particular," said Tonks, picking apparently unconsciously at the sleeve of her robe. "I just thought he might know what's going on. I heard rumours, people getting hurt." "Yeah, I know. It's all been in the papers. That little kid trying to kill his..." "Prophet's behind the times," said Tonks, who didn't seem to be listening to him. "You haven't had any letters from anyone in the Order recently?" No one writes me anymore," said Harry. "Not since Sirius." He saw that her eyes had filled with tears.
I'm sorry, he muttered awkwardly. I mean, I miss him as well. What?
Said Tonks blankly, as though she had not heard him.
Well, I'll see you around, Harry.
And she turned abruptly and walked back down the corridor, leaving Harry to stare after her. After a minute or so, he pulled the invisibility cloak on again and resumed his efforts to get into the room of requirement. But his heart was not in it. Finally, a hollow feeling in his stomach, and the knowledge that Ron and Hermione would soon be back for lunch, made him abandon the attempt and leave the corridor to Malfoy, who, hopefully, would be too afraid to leave for some hours to come. He found Ron and Hermione in the Great Hall, already halfway through an early lunch.
I did it! Well, kind of, Ron told Harry enthusiastically, when he caught sight of him. I was supposed to be operating to outside of Madame Puddingfoot's tea shop, and I overshot it a bit and ended up near Scrivenshrift's, but at least I moved.
Good one, said Harry.
How'd you do, Hermione?
Oh, she was perfect, obviously, said Ron before Hermione could answer. Perfect deliberation, perfect divination, perfect desperation, or whatever the hell it is. We all went for a quick drink at the Three Broomsticks after, and you should have heard Tycross going about her. I'll be surprised if he doesn't pop the question soon.
What about you?
Asked Hermione, ignoring Ron.
Have you been up the room of requirement all this time?
Yep, said Harry.
And guess who I run into up there? Tonks.
Val, thank you for all the roses, and Juan, thank you for the roses. Tips to the tavern keeper are deeply appreciated, my friends. Santana, hello, I hope you and Pixie are well. Welcome in, so very good to see you. Where was I?
Tonks,
repeated Ron and Hermione together, looking surprised.
Yeah, said she was come to visit Dumbledore.
If you ask me, said Ron once Harry had finished describing his conversation,
she's cracking up a bit, losing her nerve after what happened at the Ministry. It's a bit odd,
said Hermione, who for some reason looked very concerned.
She's supposed to be guarding the school. Why has she suddenly abandoned her post to come and see Dumbledore, when he's not even here? I had that thought,
said Harry tentatively. He felt strange about voicing it. This was much more Hermione's territory than his.
You don't think she can have been, in love with Sirius?
Hermione stared at him.
What on earth makes you say that?
I don't know, Harry said, shrugging.
But she was nearly crying when I mentioned his name. And a Patronus is a big four-leg thing now. I wonder whether it had become, him. It's a thought,
said Hermione slowly.
But I don't know why she'd be bursting into the castle to see Dumbledore, if that's really why she was here.
Goes back to what I said, doesn't it? Said Ron, who was now shoveling mashed potatoes into his mouth. She's gone a bit funny. She lost her nerve. Women, he said wisely to Harry. They're easily upset. Funny coming from Ronald Weasley.
And yet,
said Hermione, coming out of a reverie,
I doubt you'd find a woman who sulked for half an hour because Madame Rosmerta didn't laugh at their joke about the hag the healer and the mimblest Mimbletonia.
Ron scowled. Hermione with the savage cross there at the end. Cindy Ingle, who just recently joined the tavern, thank you for the likes. They're deeply appreciated. For everyone who likes and shares while my head is down, thank you kindly. And for Mortem Crossing, hello, welcome in over on Twitch. So very glad that you could join us. Where are you coming in from? Did you join us from Michael, or are you coming in as a stray? And so ends chapter 21, my friends. So let's see. 1, 2. Let me see how long the next chapter is. 4:16. So the next chapter is It's only 18 pages. Are we going to do another chapter? Is that what we want, friends? Adds in 4. Ooh, we finished up just in time. But Mortem, welcome in. I'm so very glad that you could join us. We are at the middle point here. So we are at 1 hour 30 for story time. I'm going to pop up and stretch and go and tend to the lady very briefly. And then I will always... Marina, thank you for 1,000 bits. Thank you kindly, love. I appreciate you for that. You just came back. You don't have to do all of that. Enjoy your eggs of Astara. Now that I think about it, we need to... It says Griffin Wings on there.
It says Griffin Wings?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah, we'll go easy on the songs. While I'm up, I'm gonna pop up for a second and stretch. I'll be up for about 5 minutes or so. We'll run some advertisements over on Twitch, so our Twitch friends don't have to be entrenched in those while we're reading. Okay, now I'm going. Bye, everyone. Good night, Marissa. Rest well, and I hope that you have a wonderful night. I'm glad you made it home safe. Don't forget to check the tune. That's what I'm going to do while I'm up there. And then, yeah, we'll do some songs here in a minute, and then we'll do another chapter. I think we'll have all of that done in a reasonable hour tonight. So everybody, give me 5 to 10 minutes to pop up and stretch, and then I will be back, and I promise I won't overdo it. You can certainly ask for Cape Cod Girls, Marina. We'll do Cape Cod Girls and Moby Duck on the break. Hey, Klein! Long time no see. I'm so very glad you could make it in. I'm popping up for a break. I'm going to hydrate, and I will be right back. Everybody hang out, and we will be back here in just a moment. He was being naughty and decided to claw a chair, so he had to come over here and work to pay off his debt for clawing at the chair. His naughtiness. Corin, hello, long time no see. Thank you for the sub over on TikTok. Kayla, hello. Let's see who else came in. Are you ready to go? Are you ready to leave? Say hi to everybody. Say hello. Hi, hi. Hi, hi. Okay, back to mom. Lasagna Box is a hilarious name. Yeah, sorry, I got up to get some more water and stretch right quick, and get some tea to soothe my throat. It was Milo. Yes, it was Milo. That's correct. Crystal, hello, welcome in. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for waiting while I got up and stretched for a minute and took my break. Welcome back. No, it's alright. He's getting big, so there's not much of a distinction between him and Boo except for their coloring, and his head is smaller.
Yeah.
So there's just Christy, hello, welcome in. They need to earn their keep. Sometimes one of the reasons the axolotls are up. I'm joking. Genuinely happy to share them. No, it's true. The lady and the boy love the animals. I make them work. They're utilitarian for me. Shark Week in chronic pain, making me want things, kitty. Shark Week is one of my favorite ways that particular thing is referred to. I don't know if I can even talk about that on TikTok without getting banned. But Corin, thank you for the membership subscription over on TikTok. I appreciate you for it. We too love animals better than humans. I wouldn't say I love animals better than humans, but I do have an affinity for animals. I do what I can with them. Alright friends, we're going to do 2 songs. Then we will transition into the next chapter of Harry Potter. We're going to be on chapter 22 of Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. Matt, hello! Just a quick stop in to say hi. Have a wonderful night. Thank you very much, my friend. It's good to see you. I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I hope that you rest well. Sure, you can see Coda. Let me have him come over here. He was being a grump earlier. Come here, boy. Come, you do your work too. Get up here. Say hello. There he is. Look at the big old handsome boy. Look at him. Oh, bless you, sir. Bless you. Hey, you need to get in closer because you're too far away. Come here. There we go. There you go. The camera couldn't see you. You were disappearing into the background, sir. Yeah. Okay, get out of here. You smell bad. You are stinky, sir. The Corn King has blessed us with his corn again. Thank you, Mateus. My friend, you have a wonderful rest of your evening. I hope you have a good day at work. Yeah, we're going to do Cape Cod Girls and Moby Duck is what we're going to do in the middle. And then we'll do Valhalla Calling, Misty Mountain, and Hoist Up the Thing at the end. That is the plan. I've got my very soothing tea here. I love that most dogs just look like they're smiling funny before they sneeze. Yeah.
Well, I know you don't want to.
And Coda's nose is so sensitive that he sneezes a lot because if you just tap him on his nose, he'll sneeze.
You're not gonna avoid it, so stop.
Oh, we're doing the full roster?
He's so grumpy.
So grumpy.
He's so mad about it. It's okay.
He's like, don't get me over there because then I'll have to do it.
Just say hi for like 10 seconds, okay? 10 seconds. I'll be very quick.
Come here. Come here. Hey.
He's so upset.
You calm down. Calm down.
He's like, I don't wanna.
And then there is the grumpy boy.
So mad. He's so mad.
He's so upset. He's like, I don't
Oh,
want
you
to
would
be
be
here.
okay? You're being such a good boy.
Tyson, you said, just a quick question. Just recently reactivated my Amazon Prime, wondering how you get the Twitch subs. There's an area where you can link your Amazon Prime to your Twitch. Okay, hang on. Hold still. Hold still.
He's a good big.
Hey, stop it. Take a treat. Good boy. Okay, now you can go.
He's like, I'm done.
Yep, he's finished. Yeah, I don't know how you would do it from a phone, but on a computer, you would go and link them together, and then it'll give you the option when you go into the subscription area to whatever creator you want to give this up to. It'll say, do you want to use your Prime? Night, guys. Got a lot of editing to do in the morning. Sage, thank you for dropping in, brother. I'm glad that you're done with the first draft of your second book, and I'm looking forward to it. We are not getting any more cats. We're not getting any more animals until we have places to keep them. We already have too many inside things, or outside things on the inside right now, so... There will be no more animals for the foreseeable future. It's funny that because one of them peed on me by accident once, but they all kind of look at me as being like the big dog in the house, so none of them will do anything like that when I'm in the room. They don't dare take revenge on me for anything, which is proper. We have 6 cats and love them all. My parents at one point had 40 cats because they had a ranch, and they used them for mouse control. But I do like animals. I like raising animals and taking care of them, and I like the utility of animals, but not inside the house. I'm a farm sort of animals person, not a in my bed and in the places where I live sort of animals person. Does that mean Prime pays you? Yes, so if you have a creator that you want to give a Prime sub to, Prime subs pay the exact same amount as what a regular sub would, but you don't have to pay for it. You can link your Amazon account with your Twitch account, and then you can give 1 free Prime sub every month to a creator. Junk is all I've been craving though, so I've been nothing but candy bars, says Kayla. That happens though. That happens because your body is probably iron and magnesium deficient, which is very common in women. And then when you have your monthlies, your body then wants to be able to absorb it, and sugar sort of mimics that. What livestock would you like to have in Montana? That would be up to the lady. I don't necessarily want the responsibility of livestock while we're building the tavern. But if we did have anything, it would probably be horses and maybe goats to start with. Because the lady really wants horses. She's wanted horses since she was a little girl. And what little girl didn't want horses, right? Cats are not permitted outside. They're at risk of being lost, injured, or run over. I would prefer to know their whereabouts. The cats that I grew up with my parents lived on 50 acres in the middle of nowhere. There was nowhere for them to be run over, though they often did get taken by birds of prey and by coyotes and whatnot. They weren't pets though, they were utility animals. So even though my sisters, I'm sure, named all of them, they were more utility animals than pets. Not me, I knew it came with horses. Oh good, close to Calgary, I will try to get the Stampede and Tavern in the same week. But it says, I never wanted horses, I wanted wolves. Wolves is another one that I always find interesting, that women and young girls really like the idea of having wolves. Chickens always... That's true, we would probably do chickens for the eggs. Chickens, ducks, and geese for the eggs.
We definitely start with that one.
Yeah. We had several barn cats. We lived 15 miles from any civilization. Yeah, when you live out in the middle of nowhere, and like on a ranch... Like, you will have outside cats that are there to cull the rodents and the vermin. I want a raven too. Ravens are interesting because they get very attached, but if you ever do domesticate a raven, you have to be very attentive to it. Because they get very lonely because they're very social creatures. And they will go off on a deep end if you don't take proper care of them. Althea enjoys about... an early 40-minute walks. Elsie's indoor due to no fencing. Yeah, which you have to do. Like, that's why we keep them inside, because where we live in Southern California, they would all be hit immediately, or carried off by a giant possum or raccoon. So they have to stay inside. They hang out in my backyard and I feed them. I will gladly be the tavern's chicken tender. That's a funny way of putting it. Well, sounds like my kind of animal. My daughter wanted a horse. My husband gave her a hard no. He was raised on a horse ranch that bred show horses, and he had to clean up after them. He wants nothing to do with horses. Poor guy had a bad experience. It is hard to care for horses. I worked on a couple of horse ranches as a boy. My parents had a horse. But yeah, cleaning up after horses is a lot. They move a lot of fecal matter. You're talking about hundreds of pounds of it a week. You have to be ready to get rid of that. We have barn cats, chickens, and the crows out here. The crows have kept the coyotes and hawks away for our chickens, probably because I feed them. Yeah, they will. Like, crows and ravens will scare off other birds of prey if they have, like, a territory. I used to train trail horses as a summer job. Best behaved horses on the entire planet. Horses are not for the weak. They certainly are not, Kayla. You have to be really locked in if you're going to raise horses and care for them and train them.
I prefer to learn all of the things and then pay somebody.
Yeah. I am drawn to horses, but I am concerned about the significant responsibilities and expense involved in the care. Which is fair, Esther. That is what you have to consider before you go into having horses. Because they will very easily get out of hand if you... I have chickens, geese, and a turkey named Gobbles. See, chickens, ducks, and geese, like, my grandfather had ducks and geese, my parents had chickens, ducks, and geese, a bunch of my uncles all had different fowl. Anything that lays an egg is basically free food, so get that. Because what you spend in grain for chickens is nothing compared to what you get back in eggs.
Especially if you grow microgreens.
Yeah.
And you can have your own, like, grub farm, too.
Mateus is a equestrian. He ran 55 stables. And so that is wild. Actually, that's a lot of responsibility. I had one that hated people but only liked me and did well as a pack horse. Just hated to be ridden. Massive great horse the size of a large SUV. My aunt has, I think, 4 now. How many horses does Beth have now?
I don't know. Didn't she win a bet recently?
She did, and got a pony. Well, not a pony, but a foal colt. But my aunt has very large horses, like large, top tier breed Clydesdales. I thought that you had already gone to bed, Destiny. So yeah, go to bed. I had heard that you're starting earlier mornings. So yes, please go get some sleep, rest well. Thank you for minding and tending the bar for us. It's deeply appreciated. All right, let's do some songs and then get back into story, friends. I got carried away on the farm stuff. You dozed off, okay? Well, I mean, then go ahead and get off to bed then. Go rest. I appreciate you for your help. All right, we're gonna do Moby Duck first. Well, no, let's do Cape Cod Girls for Marina in case she needs to get off to bed. And then we'll do Moby Duck. Okay. Take another sip of tea. So, with chickens, you can also get an incubator and raise your own chickens once a flock is established. So you get eggs, chicks, some dual-purpose breeds, and some meat. Yeah. And, like, when we're growing up as a part of family tradition, we learn about breeding and raising animals so that there is a consistent and respectful way of doing those things. Oh my goodness, comments override mine, sucks being a ghost. Did I miss one of your comments, Esther? Castle, Elsie would herd a horse inside a house if we had one. I'm sure she would. That's what she was bred for. It's the kind of animal that she was. Plenty of Rubio's tea and honey here. This is an herbal blend that the lady made for me to help with my throat and my sinuses. I started back to school, to work since school has started again. Ah, yes, that makes sense. I've had 13 chickens and 2 bantams. What is a bantam? I recognize the name, but for some reason, off the top of my head, I can't quite remember. Just for everyone's note, Storytime schedule is going to be changing here. It'll probably be earlier. We might even be switching the days. We haven't really decided yet. But I have to start going to bed earlier for the work that the lady and I are doing. And I have a lot of work that has to be done. It's all tavern stuff, though. So it's going to mean more things in the tavern, but I have to shift my schedule. So story times will be earlier. And they might be a little bit longer. But starting next week, it's going to be shifting. We're going to play around with a couple of different varieties of the schedule to see what works for us. Because we've been doing it on this schedule for so long, we're like, we need to experiment. So we're going to be a little bit chaotic as far as like what days it'll be, but it'll be consistently at the same time on each of those days. And then once we have it settled, the calendar over in the guild will change to reflect the new schedule. Alright, Matty, I appreciate you for that. Bantam chickens, small variety of... Oh, we call them banties. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, we call them banties. Okay, bantam. Yeah, I know what they are. And I will let you know, Matty. If you're a barkeep, I will be messaging the barkeeps about this because there are a few other things with community things that are changing as well. Because we're going to be doing more things, but also we're subtracting some of the things that we do now, and we're adding in some more functional things. So there's going to be a lot of stuff that's shifting around over the course of the next 2 weeks. Hopefully for the better. I prefer being in the kitchen. Slaying a chicken is not my thing. I learned to debone the whole deer and animal because of my grandmother. When we're children, we go through to become adults. If we want to eat anything, we have to learn where it comes from and how to make it. So we learn how to garden, we learn how to cultivate the garden, we learn how to tend to the garden, and then we learn how to reap what is sown in the garden and then prepare and preserve the things that come from it so that then we can eat those foods. We learn those very young, and then when we reach 6 years old, we're not allowed to eat anything that we haven't learned where it comes from. So most of us, by the time we're 6, we've butchered our first chicken or rabbit or something of the like. And we learn how to do it respectfully, and that way we always appreciate where our food comes from, and we learn not to be wasteful. Because we understand that what work goes into making food, and what sacrifice goes into bringing in meat, because it's a natural part of life. So it's something that you have to understand is necessary to live, and we take the time to learn about it. And it's a part of the... Literally, we cannot be considered adults until we have gone through adulthood trials in my grandfather's family. And for anyone who's interested in knowing more about that, over in the guild, there's a channel called Becoming Grown, and that's where I outline what the tradition is there. And also, if you would like to go through adulthood trials to be considered an adult by the traditions of our clan, you can go through that. I could not kill a fly, I'd probably starve. But it's important, right? Because even if you're not killing things, like animals are still giving up parts of their body for you to eat. If you're a vegetarian, the same thing is still true. Like there are sacrifices that are made for that food that you eat. Even if you're a vegetarian, you only eat vegetables. But if you eat meat, then that meat still has to come from somewhere. And you only have to do it once on your own in order to be considered an adult. But it creates a respect and an understanding of where that food comes from and is appreciated. I did not know your family was from South Africa. My dad is from Johannesburg. Barman, I'll let you know as soon as what the new times are if you want me to. Also, Castle, I've arranged for you and Una to get a gift sub for when you and Una lurk for me. I appreciate you, Matty. Thank you for that. Thank you kindly. I didn't miss anything else. No, I didn't. Alright. I'm good at fishing canning, and you know how to make a fire. I've got some good survival skills when I need it. And that's important. It's important because we kind of take for granted how easy things are for us. So it's always good to be prepared. Alright. Even if I'm not listening, I always try to have you up when you're on, Matty. If I'm at the magic box working, I try to be. But given the opportunity to try, I cannot, I cry. I'm happy to help processing, but taking a life is hard. I'm sure I could help an animal suffering, but a life is a life. To me, it's hard. It is hard. And that's really why we have our children do it. Because no matter what, that sacrifice has to happen, right? Like, it is natural for creatures to kill other creatures in order for them to eat. It's a natural part of the process of life. And as long as you're not being cruel when you do it, it is not an evil or horrible thing. Like, you wouldn't call a cheetah cruel or a wolf cruel for doing what it does. And it's a natural part of the process of life for humans to do these things. But you have to do it in a way that is not cruel and that is respectful to the creature who is providing sustenance to you. Because that is what separates us from animals, is that animals just eat and kill because it's in their nature. We also need to eat and we also kill because it is in our nature, but we have the ability to give respect and appreciation. No, and I understand. I mean, I'm just explaining the philosophy behind it. Obviously, I don't expect everybody to do it, which is why I don't. It's there in the guild if anybody wants to, but it's not meant to be something that is meant to make anybody else feel bad. It's just meant to be an expression of what our family tradition is about. We have an entire history built on keeping and passing on traditions so that the next generation can carry on those respects and those learned behaviors into the next generation. My family still reside in South Africa and England, Milu. Only my dad travelled by tugboat in the 60s, ended up in Tasmania. That's a hell of a thing. I love meat, but I don't have the heart to kill. And I hear you. I understand what you mean. I grew up helping on farms, been around it a ton. Yeah, and it's difficult. I need to step away now. Thank you, Castle, for the story. Be safe and get better. Rest well, Tavern family. Let me get you a couple of songs before you go, Frost, and then you can head out. I'm sorry I waffled for a bit there. I know that was my fault. Because I want you to hear Moby Duck. I think it'll give you a smile before you go to sleep. Let's get Marina her Cape Cod girls. Oh, Cape Cod girls, don't use no combs. Heave away, haul away. They comb their hair with codfish bones, and we're bound away for Australia. And it's heave her up, me bully bully boys. Heave away, haul away. Oh, heave her up and don't you make a noise, and we're bound away for Australia. Those Cape Cod ships ain't got no sails. Heave away, haul away. They'd all blown off in the northeast gales, and we're bound away for Australia. And it's heave her up, me bully bully boys. Heave away, haul away. Oh, heave her up, and don't you make a noise, and we're bound away for Australia. Those Cape Cod kids ain't got no sleds. Heave away, haul away. They slide on down in codfish heads, and we're bound away for Australia. And it's heave her up, me bully boys, heave away, haul away. Oh, it's heave her up and don't you make a noise, and we're bound away for Australia. Them Cape Cod shoes ain't got no soles. Heave away, haul away. They'd all burnt off from walking on coals, and we're bound away for Australia. And it's heave her up, me bully boys, heave away, haul away. Oh, heave her up, and don't you make a noise, and we're bound away for Australia. Those Cape Cod cats ain't got no tails, heave away, haul away. They was all blown off in the northwest gales, and were bound away for Australia. And it's heave her up, me bully boys, heave away, haul away. Oh, it's heave her up, and don't you make a noise, and we're bound away for Australia. Those Cape Cod girls don't wear no clothes, heave away, haul away. We're Cape Cod bound just as straight as she goes, and we're bound away for Australia. And it's heave her up, me bully boys, heave away, haul away. Oh, heave her up, and don't you make a noise, and we're bound away for Australia. Thank you for the song, my friends. I think I'm going to get my son to read that section in the guild. I think he would really learn something from it. Very likely. I don't ever impose these things upon other people. I don't expect other people to be raised how I was. The way my grandfather and his family raised children is very strict. It's very old-fashioned, and for a lot of people, it does not fit the modern sensibility. So I don't ever expect people to raise their children, or even to they themselves live to the same notes that we do. I just talk about it because it's different and it interests people. So I don't want anybody ever to think that I'm saying like, you have to do this thing because we do this thing. No. We live that way because that is the way we've lived for hundreds of years, if not thousands at this point. And it's a very unique way of living, and it's a very unique way of coming up, and it's different, especially in the day. We were brought up very strict too. Yeah, well, yeah. You and Bear and several others, you guys grew up in a very strict generation. All right, we're going to do Moby Duck, and then we're going to get back to story time for a bit, because I waffled for a while there. We don't want to lose... We don't want to lose all the daylight. So this is a brand new song to Storytime. It is called Moby Duck, or The Legend of Moby Duck. I waffle too, Castle. Waffles are good. Waffles can be good. They can be. A bad waffle is a really bad waffle, but it's really hard to make a really bad waffle. So, like a mediocre waffle is still a pretty good waffle. Oh, Ashley, I didn't see you give those dealings. Thank you kindly, love. Tips to the tavern keeper, always appreciated. Thank you so much. You're an absolute sweetheart. Thank you for that. So this is a song about a terrible monster who plagued the people of a certain lake called Moby Duck. And it's one of my favorite silly songs, so let's go into it. After 14 years I left the sea for a life upon a lake. After all the storms I'd seen, I needed a good break. I thought still waters would mean peace for me, but that was my mistake. For the place I chose was beguiled by a giant evil drake, a mallard of such malice twice the size of any man, a bill to give you nightmares and a monstrous wingspan. You cannot hope to fight it, so avoid him if you can. The terrifying waterfowl, the beast beyond the dam. Row ho, row with all your might. Row with harpoons loaded and spoiling for a fight. Row ho, and with any luck we'll win the day and do away the dreaded Moby Duck. I'm not one for surrender, so a vengeful oath I swore. I gathered up me hearties, and like many times before, we shod our ships and weapons and prepared to go to war, till the fetid, feathered, fearsome flying duck would breathe no more. Row ho, row with all your might. Row with harpoons loaded, spoiling for a fight. Row ho, and with any luck we'll win the day and do away the dreaded Moby Duck. There was bonny brave Marie with her arm, who to her arms had waved goodbye, and handsome Jack, whose duck attack left him without an eye. The Darby twins with one leg each on deck were standing by, only a couple dozen limbs between a crew of 25. Row ho, row with all your might. Row with harpoons loaded, spoiling for a fight. Row ho, and with any luck we'll win the day and do away the dreaded Moby Duck. The fight raged on for several hours, defend and then attack. With beatings from those wicked wings, our boat began to crack. The beast reared up to finish the job and gave a mighty quack. Quack. I rammed my harpoon in his throat and made a tasty snack. Row ho, row us back to shore. We'll drag his broken body back and roast it on an oar. Row ho, barbecue the beast. With hoisin sauce and pancakes we'll have a mighty feast. Oh, row with all your might. Row with harpoons loaded, spoiling for a fight. Row ho, and we had all the luck. We won the day and did away the dreaded Moby Duck. We won the day and did away the dreaded Moby Duck. Quack. And that is Moby Duck. It is a wonderful song. Thank you, Bear, for recommending. I appreciate the request. When I hear the Moby Duck, I think of the truck that's been converted into a sailing shop that belongs to the Seafair Pirates in Seattle area. That's fine. Marina, thank you. I enjoy your sproutling pie. Thank you kindly. Thank you so much. You're back for 2 days, tipping me all to hick. Thank you kindly. I appreciate it. Castle Elsie inquired about the fate of Misty Mountain, or if that was a later event. That will be. I will do Misty Mountain after this next chapter. We'll be doing Misty Mountain, Hoist Up the Thing, and then somebody had another request. Thank you, Marina. I'm so glad to see you. I'm glad that you made it in. Please rest well, and when you rise tomorrow, I hope that you are ready to face the day, and that you conquer all things that lie before you. That's awesome, Castle. Thank you. It was my pleasure, Bear. I'm glad you brought it up. Thank you for requesting it, because I love the legend of Moby Duck. You did miss Moby Duck just now, actually. Just now. Well, I'll just brush Elthie's teeth and tuck her into bed for the next chapter. Wonderful. It'll still, the replay will still be available over on YouTube. Dang, sorry, I had a phone call. That's alright. You'll be able to listen over on YouTube if you want to. You don't have to. But if you want to, it is... Let's see. How far in? My brain. Come on, somewhere. How long have we been on? The 2 hour 19-minute mark, or the 2 hour 17-minute mark. I feel like Castle is trying to kill me through laughter today. I would never. If I ever get another duck, I'm calling it Moby. Hey, how are things in the tavern? Things in the tavern are wonderful, Petra. Hello. That was the other one. We'll be doing Valhalla Calling, Misty Mountains, and Hoist Up the Thing at the end after the next chapter. Yeah, I'm going to give my voice a break so that we're not doing too many at a time. Alright, friends, settle in, fill your glasses. It is time for another chapter of Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. I named my duck Jeepers Creepers. He loves to follow me around and bite my toes. That sounds like a very duck thing to do. Even just that brought me to coughing. No bleeding throats again, please. I promise I will be careful. Not bothered by the song. Only if you're up to it. If I'm not up to it, I will make sure I let you know, Esther. All right, everyone settle in. For all of the new folk, I am Castle. This is my tavern, and here we talk about myth and lore and tales of yore. Every now and again, I read you all a bedtime story. If you've just stumbled in, you are in a tavern at the end of the world, where all stories eventually come to rest. And you found your way here because you were seeking a story. So settle in, fill your glass, and I have one for you. Chapter 22. After the Burial. Patches of bright blue sky were beginning to appear over the castle turrets. But these signs of approaching summer did not lift Harry's mood. He had been thwarted, both in his attempt to find out what Malfoy was doing, and in his efforts to start a conversation with Slughorn that might lead somehow to Slughorn handing over the memory he had apparently suppressed for decades.
For the last time, just forget about Malfoy,
Hermione told Harry firmly. They were sitting with Ron in a sunny corner of the courtyard after lunch. Hermione and Ron were both clutching the Ministry of Magic leaflet. Common operation mistakes and how to avoid them. For they were taking their test that very afternoon. But by and large, the leaflet had not proved soothing to the nerves. Ron gave a start and tried to hide behind Hermione as a girl came around the corner.
It isn't lavender,
said Hermione wearily. Oh, good, said Ron, relaxing.
Harry Potter,
said the girl.
was asked to give you this.
Thanks. Harry's heart sank, as he too took the small scroll of parchment. Once the girl was out of earshot, he said,
Dumbledore said we wouldn't be having any more lessons until I got the memory. Maybe he wants to check on how you're doing, suggested Hermione as Harry unrolled the parchment. But rather than finding Dumbledore's long, narrow, slanted writing, he saw an untidy scroll, very difficult to read due to the presence of large blotches on the paper where the ink had run.
Dear Harry, Ron, and Hermione, Aragog died last night. Harry and Ron, you met him, and you know how special he was to me. Hermione, I know you didn't like him. It would mean a lot to me if you'd nip down for a burial later this evening. I'm planning on doing it around dusk. It was his favourite time of day. I know you're not supposed to be out that late, but you can use the cloak. Wouldn't ask. I can't face it alone. Signed, Hagrid.
Look at this,
said Harry, handing the note to Hermione.
Oh, for heaven's sakes,
she said, scanning it quickly and passing it to Ron, who read it through, looking increasingly incredulous.
He's mental, he said furiously. That thing told its mates to eat us, Harry. Told them to help themselves. Now Hagrid expects us to go down there and cry over its horrible hairy body. It's not just that, said Hermione. He's asking us to leave the castle at night, and he knows security's 1,000,000 times tighter. How much trouble we'd be in if we were caught."
"We've been down to see him by night before," said Harry.
"Yes, but for something like this," said Hermione, "we've risked a lot to help Hagrid out, but after all, Aragog's dead. If it were a question of saving him—"
"I'd want to go even less," said Ron firmly. "You didn't meet him, Hermione. Believe me, being dead will have improved him a lot." Harry took the note back and stared down at the blocky, inky blotches all over it. Tears had clearly fallen thick upon and fast upon the parchment.
"Harry, you can't be thinking of going," said Hermione. "It's such a pointless thing to get attention for."
Harry sighed. "Yeah, I know," he said. "I suppose Hagrid will have to bury Aragog without us."
"Yes, he will,"
said Hermione, looking relieved.
"Look, potions will be almost empty this afternoon, with the rest of us off doing our test. Try and soften Slughorn up a bit then."
57's time lucky, then, you think?" said Harry bitterly. "Lucky?" said Ron suddenly. "Harry, that's it. Get lucky."
"Use your lucky potion." "Ron, that's it,"
said Hermione, sounding stunned.
"Of course. Why didn't I think of it?"
Harry stared at them both.
"Felix Felicis,"
he said.
"I don't know.
I was sort of saving it."
What for?"
demanded Ron incredulously.
"What on earth is more important than this memory, Harry?"
asked Hermione. Harry did not answer. The thought of the little golden bottle had hovered on the edge of his imagination for some time. Vague and unformulated plans that involved Ginny splitting up with Dean, and Ron somehow being happy to see her with a new boyfriend, had been fermenting in the depths of his brain, unacknowledged, except during dreams or the twilight time between sleeping and waking.
"Harry, are you still with us?"
asked Hermione. "Well, yeah, of course," he said, pulling himself together. "Well, okay, if I can't get Slughorn to talk this afternoon, I'll take some Felix and have another go this evening."
"Then it's decided, then,"
said Hermione briskly, getting to her feet and performing a graceful pirouette.
"Destination, determination, deliberation," she murmured.
"Oh, stop that," Ron begged her. "I feel sick enough as it is. Quick, hide me."
"It isn't lavender,"
said Hermione impatiently, as another couple of girls appeared in the courtyard and Ron dived behind her. Cool, said Ron, peering over Hermione's shoulder to check. "Blimey, they don't look happy, do they?"
"They're the Montgomery sisters, and of course they don't look happy. Didn't you hear what happened to their little brother?"
said Hermione. "I'm losing track of what's happened to everyone's relatives, to be honest," said Ron.
"Well, their brother was attacked by a werewolf. The rumor is that their mother refused to help the Death Eaters. Anyway, the boy was only 5, and he died at St. Mungo's. They couldn't save him."
"He died?" repeated Harry, shocked. "But surely werewolves don't kill. They just turn you into one of them." "Sometimes they kill," said Ron, who looked unusually grave now. "I've heard it happens when werewolves get carried away."
"What was the werewolf's name?"
said Harry quickly.
"Well, the rumor is that it was Fenrir Greyback,"
said Hermione.
"I knew it. The maniac who likes attacking kids. The one Lupin told me about,"
said Harry angrily. Hermione looked at him bleakly.
"Harry, you've got to get that memory," she said. "It's all about stopping Voldemort, isn't it? These dreadful things are happening all down to him."
The bell rang overhead in the castle, and both Hermione and Ron jumped to their feet, looking terrified. "You do fine," said Harry to them both, as they headed towards the entrance hall to meet the rest of the people taking their operation tests. "Good luck."
"And you too,"
said Hermione with a significant look, and Harry headed off to the dungeons. There were only 3 of them in potions that afternoon: Harry, Ernie, and Draco Malfoy. "All too young to operate just yet,"
said Slughorn genially. Not turned 17 yet. They all shook their heads. Ah, well, said Slughorn cheerily. As we're so few, we'll do something fun. I want you all to brew me something amusing.
That sounds good, sir, said Ernie sycophantically, rubbing his hands together. Malfoy, on the other hand, did not crack a smile. What do you mean, something amusing? He said irritably.
Oh, surprise me, said Slughorn airily.
Malfoy opened his copy of Advanced Potion Making with a sulky expression. It could not have been plainer that he thought this lesson was a waste of time. Undoubtedly, Harry thought, watching him over the top of his own book, Malfoy was begrudging the time that he could otherwise be spending in the Room of Requirement. Was it his imagination, or did Malfoy, like Tonks, look thinner? Joker, hello, welcome in. Ashley and Irish Hobbit, thank you both kindly for the Deanies. Tips to the Tavern Keeper are always appreciated. And Joker, it's good to see you, my friend. Welcome in. I haven't missed anyone else, I hope. Does not appear so. Alright, we're good. I've been trying to Matty, just real quick. I've been trying to format those very concisely for you, so it's easy to follow the instructions. You tell me if I'm being too in depth or if I'm being too overly formal with the things that I'm sending you. This is what I would do for a client if they were asking me to edit their book for them. So I go to the Book of Faces and immediately greeted by the "Why are Irish people so sexy?" We just are. It's a gift and a curse.
Gift and a curse.
Where was I? Was it his imagination, or did Malfoy, like Tonks, look thinner? Certainly he looked paler. His skin still had that greyish tinge, probably because he was so rarely so daylight these days. But there was no air of smugness, excitement, or superiority. None of the swagger that he had had on Hogwarts Express, when he had boasted openly of the mission he'd been given by Voldemort. There could be only one conclusion, in Harry's opinion. The mission, whatever it was going badly. Cheered by this thought, Harry skimmed his copy of Advanced Potion Making and found a heavily corrected Half-Blooded Prince's version of an elixir to induce euphoria, which seemed to not only meet Slughorn's instructions, but which might, Harry's heart leapt at the thought as it struck him, put Slughorn in such a good mood that he would be prepared to hand over that memory if Harry could persuade him to taste some.
Well now, this looks absolutely wonderful, said Slughorn an hour and a half later, clapping his hands together as he stared down into the sunshine yellow contents of Harry's cauldron. Euphoria, I take it? And what's that I smell? You've had just a sprig of peppermint, haven't you? Unorthodox. But what a stroke of inspiration, Harry. Of course. That would tend to counterbalance the occasional side effects of excessive singing and nose tweaking. I really don't know where you get these brainwaves, my boy, unless...
Harry pushed the Half-Blood Prince's book deeper into his bag with his foot.
It's just your mother's genes coming out in you.
Oh, yeah, maybe, said Harry, relieved. Ernie was looking rather grumpy, determined to outshine Harry for once. He had most rashly invented his own potion, which had curdled and formed a kind of purple dumpling at the bottom of his cauldron. Malfoy was already packing up sour-faced. Slughorn had pronounced his hiccuping solution merely passable. The bell rang, and both Ernie and Malfoy had left at once. Sir, Harry began, but Slughorn immediately glanced over his shoulder and saw that the room was empty but for himself and Harry. He hurried away as fast as he could. Professor, don't you want to taste my called Harry desperately, but Slughorn had gone. Disappointed, Harry emptied the cauldron, packed up his things, and left the dungeon, and walked slowly back upstairs to the common room. Ron and Hermione returned in the late afternoon.
Harry,
cried Hermione as she climbed through the portrait hole.
Harry, I passed.
Well done, he said. And Ron?
He just failed.
Whispered Hermione, as Ron came slouching into the room looking most morose.
It was a really unlucky and tiny thing. The examiner spotted that he'd left half an eyebrow behind. How did it go with Slughorn?
No joy, said Harry as Ron rejoined them. Bad luck, mate, but you'll pass next time. We can take it together. Yeah, I suppose, said Ron grumpily. But half an eyebrow, like that matters.
I know,
said Hermione soothingly.
It does seem really harsh.
They spent most of their dinner roundly abusing the apparition examiner, and Ron looked fractionally more cheerful by the time they set off back to the common room, now discussing the continuing problem of Slughorn and the memory. So, Harry, you going to use the Felix Felicis or what? Ron demanded.
Yeah, I suppose I'd better,
said Harry.
I don't reckon I'll need all of it, not 12 hours worth. It can't take all night. I'll just take a mouthful. 2 or 3 hours should do it.
It's a great feeling when you take it, said Ron reminiscently. Like, you can't do anything wrong.
What are you talking about?
Said Hermione, laughing.
You've never taken any.
Yeah, but I thought I had, didn't I? Said Ron, as though explaining the obvious. Same difference, really. As they had only just seen Slughorn enter the great hall, and knew that he liked to take time over meals, they lingered for a while in the common room, the plan being that Harry would go to Slughorn's office once the teacher had had time to get back there. When the sun had sunk to the level of the treetops in the Forbidden Forest, they decided the moment had come, and after checking carefully that Neville, Dean, and Seamus were all in the common room, sneaked up to the boys' dormitory. Harry took out the rolled-up socks at the bottom of his trunk and extracted the tiny gleaming bottle.
Well, here it goes,
said Harry, and he raised the little bottle and took a carefully measured gulp.
What does it feel like?
Whispered Hermione. Harry did not answer for a moment. Then, slowly but surely, an exhilarating sense of infinite opportunity stole through him. He felt as though he could not have done anything, as though he could have done anything at all, and getting the memory from Slughorn seemed suddenly not only possible, but positively easy. He got to his feet, smiling, brimming with confidence.
Excellent, he said. Really excellent. Right, I'm going down to Hagrid's.
What? Said Ron and Hermione together, looking aghast.
No, Harry, you've got to go and see Slughorn, remember?
Said Hermione.
No, said Harry confidently. I'm going to Hagrid's. I've got a good feeling about going to Hagrid's. Got a good feeling about burying a giant spider?
Asked Ron, looking stunned.
Yeah,
said Harry, pulling on his invisibility cloak out of his bag.
I feel like it's the place to be tonight, you know what I mean?
No, said Ron and Hermione together, looking positively alarmed now.
This is Felix Felicis, I suppose,
said Hermione anxiously, holding up the bottle to the light.
You haven't got another little bottle full of, I don't know,
essence of insanity? Suggested Ron as Harry swung his cloak over his shoulders. Harry laughed, and Ron and Hermione looked even more alarmed.
Trust me,
he said.
I know what I'm doing, or at least
he strolled confidently to the door.
Felix does.
He pulled the invisibility cloak over his head and set off down the stairs, Ron and Hermione hurrying along behind him. At the foot of the stairs, Harry slid open the door.
What are you doing up there with her?
Shrieked Lavender Brown, staring right through Harry at Ron and Hermione, emerging together from the boys' dormitory. Harry heard Ron sputtering behind him as he darted across the room away from them. Getting through the portrait hole was simple. As he approached it, Ginny and Dean came through it, and Harry was able to slip between them. As he did so, he brushed accidentally against Ginny.
Please don't push me, Dean, she said, sounding annoyed. You're always doing that, and I can't get through perfectly well on my own.
The portrait swung closed behind Harry, but not before he had heard Dean make an angry retort. His feeling of elation increasing, Harry strode off through the castle. He did not have to creep along, for he met nobody along his way. But this did not surprise him in the slightest. This evening he was the luckiest person at Hogwarts. Why, he knew that going to Hagrid's was the right thing to do. He had no idea. It was as though the potion was illuminating a few steps of the path at a time. He could not see the final destination. He could not see where Slughorn came in, but he knew that he was going the right way, and going the right way to get that memory. When he reached the entrance hall, he saw that Filch had forgotten to lock the front door. Beaming, Harry threw it open and breathed in the clean air and grass for a moment, before walking down the steps into the dusk. Oh, I will pause for a moment while the ads are running. I have a 9 to 10-year-old turkey named Gurky. Turkey eggs taste so good. Amazingly, we got a few eggs this year. I was not expecting it with her age. That is actually very amazing. I'm back. I found the cards. Excellent, Erin. That's good news. I'm glad to hear it. Thank you, Bear. Sorry, I wasn't paying attention. The ads popped without me realizing it. That's my fault. We should be done here in a moment, though. It's done. All right, excellent. They have sharp jawlines. Feckin' sharp jawlines for what? We've rounded heads only archaeologists can dig up. I'm having a very Matty will die laughing because of an Irishman day. My Irish forefathers are trying to claim me. They very well might be. They do that on occasion. All right. It was when he reached the bottom of the step that it occurred to him how very pleasant it would be to pass the vegetable patch on the walk to Hagrid's. It was not strictly on the way, but it seemed clear to Harry that this was a whim on which he should act. So he directed his feet immediately towards the vegetable patch, where he was pleased, and not altogether surprised, to find Professor Slughorn in conversation with Professor Sprout. Harry lurked behind a low stone wall, feeling at peace with the world and listening to their conversation.
I do thank you for taking the time, Pomona,
Slughorn was saying courteously.
Most authorities agree that they are at their most efficacious if picked at twilight.
Oh, I quite agree,
Professor Sprout said warmly.
That's enough for you.
Plenty, plenty,
said Slughorn, who, Harry saw, was carrying an armful of leafy plants.
I should allow for a few leaves for each of my 3rd years, and some to spare if anybody overstews them. Well, good evening to you. Many thanks again.
Professor Sprout headed off into the gathering darkness in the direction of her greenhouses, and Slughorn directed his steps to the spot where Harry stood invisible. Seized by an immediate desire to reveal himself, Harry pulled off the cloak with a flourish. Good evening, Professor.
Merlin's beard, Harry. Oh, you made me jump, said Slughorn, stopping dead in his tracks and looking wary. How did you get out of the castle?
I think Filch must have forgotten to lock the doors, said Harry cheerfully, and was delighted to see Slughorn scowl.
I'll be reporting that man. He's more concerned about litter than proper security, if you ask me. But why are you out here, Harry?
Well, sir, it's Hagrid, said Harry, who knew that the right thing to do was just now to tell the truth. He's pretty upset, but you won't tell anyone, Professor. I don't want trouble for him.
Slughorn's curiosity was evidently aroused. Well, I can't promise that, he said gruffly. But I know that Dumbledore trusts Hagrid to the hilt, so I'm sure he can't be up to anything very dreadful.
Well, it's this giant spider. He's had it for years. It lived in the forest, and it could talk and everything.
Oh, I heard rumours that there were Arachomantulas in the forest, said Slughorn softly, looking over the mass of black trees. It's true, then?
Yes, said Harry.
This one,
But this one, Aragog, it was the first one Hagrid ever got. It died last night. He's devastated. He wants company while he buries it, and I said I'd go.
Touching, touching, said Slughorn absent-mindedly, his large droopy eyes fixed on the distant lights of Hagrid's cabin. But acromantula venom is very valuable. The beast only just died. It might not yet have dried out, of course. I wouldn't want to do anything insensitive if Hagrid is upset. But if there was any way to procure some, I mean, it's almost impossible to get the venom from acromantula while it's alive.
Slughorn seemed to be talking more to himself than Harry now.
Seems an awful ways not to collect it. Might get 100 gallons for a pint, to be frank. My salary is not large.
And now Harry saw clearly what was to be done.
Well, he said, with a most convincing hesitancy, well, if you wanted to come, Professor, Hagrid wouldn't be really pleased. Hagrid would probably be really pleased to give Aragog a better send-off, you know?
Yes, of course,
said Slughorn, his eyes now gleaming with enthusiasm.
Tell you what, Harry, I'll meet you down there with a bottle or two. We'll drink to the poor beast, well, not health, but we'll send it off in style anyway, once it's buried. I'll change my tie. This one's a little exuberant for the occasion.
He bustled back into the castle, and Harry sped off to Hagrid's, delighted with himself.
You came?
Croaked Hagrid, when he opened the door and saw Harry emerge from the invisibility cloak right in front of him.
Yeah, Ron and Hermione couldn't, though, said Harry. They're really sorry.
Don't matter. He'd have been touchier here, though, Harry.
Hagrid gave a great sob, and he made himself a black armband out of what looked like a rag dipped in boot polish, and his eyes were puffy, red, and swollen. Harry patted him consolingly on the elbow, which was the highest point of Hagrid he could easily reach.
Where are we burying him? He asked. The forest.
Blimey, no,
said Hagrid, wiping his streaming eyes on the bottom of his shirt.
Other spiders won't let me anywhere near their webs now Aragog's gone. Turns out it was only by his orders they didn't eat me. Can you believe that, Harry?
The honest answer was yes. Harry recalled with painful ease the scene when he and Ron had come face to face with the Arachnomantulus. They had been quite clear that Aragog was the only thing that stopped them from eating Hagrid.
Never been in an area of the forest I couldn't go before, said Hagrid, shaking his head. Was it easy getting Aragog's body out of there? I can tell you, they usually eat their dead, see? I want to give him a nice burial, a proper send-off.
He broke into sobs again, and Harry resumed patting his elbow, saying as he did so, for the potion seemed to indicate that it was the right thing to do.
Professor Slughorn met me coming down here, Hagrid.
Not in trouble, are you?
Said Hagrid, looking up alarmed.
You should have been at the castle in the evening. I know it's my fault.
No, when he heard what I was doing. He said he'd like to come and pay last respects to Aragog too, said Harry. He's gone to change to something more suitable, I think, and he said he's bring a bottle so he can drink to Aragog's memory.
Did he?
Said Hagrid, looking both astonished and touched.
That's right nice of him, that is. And not turning you in either. I've never really had a lot to do with Horace Slughorn before. Coming to see old Aragog off, though, hey? Well, he'd have liked that, Aragog would it?
Harry thought privately that what Aragog would have liked most about Slughorn was the ample amount of edible flesh he provided, but he merely moved to the rear window of Hagrid's hut, where he saw the rather horrible sight of the enormous dead spider lying on its back outside, its legs curled and tangled.
Are we burying him here, Hagrid, in your garden?
Just beyond the pumpkin patch, I thought,
said Hagrid in a choked voice.
I've already dug, the grave. Just thought we'd say a few nice things over him. Happy memories,
His voice quivered and broke. There was a knock on the door, and he turned to answer it. Blowing his nose on his great spotted handkerchief, he did so. Slughorn hurried over the threshold, several bottles in his arms, and wearing a sombre black cravat.
Hagrid,
He said in a deep, grey voice.
So sorry to hear of your loss. That's very nice of you,
Said Hagrid.
Thanks a lot. And thanks for not giving Harry detention neither. Wouldn't dream of it,
Said Slughorn.
Sad night, sad night. Where is the poor creature? Out there,
Said Hagrid in a shaky voice.
Shall we do it then?
The three of them stepped out into the back garden. The moon was glistening palely through the trees now, and the rays mingled with the light spilling from Hagrid's window to illuminate Aragog's body, lying on the edge of the massive pit beside the 10-foot-high mound of freshly dug earth.
Magnificent,
Said Slughorn, approaching the spider's head, where 8 milky eyes stared blankly at the sky, and 2 huge curved pincers shone motionless in the moonlight. Harry thought he heard the tinkle of bottles as Slughorn bent over the pincers, apparently examining the enormous hairy head.
Not everyone who appreciates how beautiful they are,
Said Hagrid to Slughorn's back, tears leaking from the corner of his eyes.
I didn't think, you were interested in creatures like Aragog, Horace. Interested, my dear Hagrid, I revere them,
Said Slughorn, stepping back from the body. Harry saw the glint of a bottle disappear beneath his cloak, though Hagrid, mopping his eyes once more, noticed nothing.
Now, shall we proceed with the burial?
Hagrid nodded and moved forward. He heaved the gigantic spider into his arms and, with an enormous grunt, rolled it into the dark pit. It hit the bottom with a rather horrible, crunchy thud, and Hagrid started crying again.
Oh, this is difficult for you. Who knew him best?
Said Slughorn, who, like Harry, could reach no higher than Hagrid's elbow, but patted it all the same.
Well, why don't I say a few words?
He must have got a lot of good quality venom from Aragog, Harry thought, for Slughorn wore a satisfied smirk as he stepped up to the rim of the pit and said in a slow and impressive voice,
Farewell, Aragog, King of Arachnids, whose long and faithful friendship those who knew you won't forget. Though your body will decay, your spirit lingers in a quiet web-spun of places in your forest home. May your many-eyed descendants ever flourish, and your human friends find solace for the loss they have sustained. That was beautiful,
howled Hagrid as he collapsed into a compost heap, crying harder than ever.
There,
Said Slughorn, waving his wand so that the huge pile of earth rose up and then fell with a muffled sort of crash onto the dead spider, forming a smooth mound.
Let's get inside and have a drink. Get on his other side, Harry. Harry, that's it. Come on, have Hagrid. Well done.
They deposited Hagrid in a chair at the table. Fang, who had been skulking in his basket during the burial, now came padding softly across to them and put his head on Harry's lap as usual. Slughorn uncorked one of the bottles of wine he had brought.
They've all been tested for poison,
he assured Harry, pouring most of the first bottle into one of Hagrid's bucket-sized mugs and handing it to Hagrid.
Had a house elf taste every bottle after what happened to your poor friend Rupert.
Harry saw in his mind's eye the expression on Hermione's face if she ever heard about the abuse of house elves, and decided never to mention it to her.
One for Harry,
said Slughorn, dividing a second bottle between the 2 mugs.
And one for me as well.
And he raised the mug high.
To Aragog! To Aragog!
Said Harry and Hagrid together. Get a little bit dry over here. I had a huge flock of cockatoos fly over there so loud they drowned our castle. That's impressive. That's the thing to do. I'm here just listening silently. Hope that Alfred is doing well. Thank you, goblins. I appreciate you. I'm glad that you're able to drop in and spend a little bit of time with us. I hope you're well and that you are healthy and taking care of yourself. I just squished a black and white striped mosquito in my house. I've never seen one that color before. They're evolving. You gotta be careful. Get them before they get you, that's all I'll say.
It sounds frightening.
It does sound frightening. It's like they're trying to mimic zebras. For whatever reason, it's probably diabolical, whatever it is. Both Slughorn and Hagrid drank deeply. Harry, however, with the way ahead illuminated for him by Felix Felicis, knew he must not drink, so he merely pretended to take a gulp and then set the mug back on the table before him.
I had him from an egg, you know, said Hagrid morosely. Tiny little thing he was when he hatched. The size of a Pekingese. Sweet, said Slughorn. Used to keep him in a cupboard in the school until, well...
Hagrid's face darkened, and Harry knew why. Tom Riddle had contrived to have Hagrid thrown out of school, blamed for the opening of the Chamber of Secrets. Slughorn, however, did not seem to be listening. He was looking up at the ceiling, from which a number of brass pots hung, and also a long, silky skein of bright white hair.
That's never unicorn hair, Hagrid. Oh, yeah, said Hagrid indifferently. Gets pulled from their tails. They catch it on branches and stuff in the forest, you know. My dear chap, do you know how much that's worth? I use it for binding bandages and stuff. If a creature gets injured, said Hagrid, shrugging. It's dead useful, very strong, see?
Slughorn took another deep draught from his mug, his eyes moving carefully around the cabin now. Looking, Harry knew from more treasures that he might be able to convert into a plentiful supply of oak-matured mead, crystallized pineapple, and velvet smoking jackets. He refilled Hagrid's mug and his own, and questioned him about the creatures that lived in the forest these days, how Hagrid was able to look after them all. Hagrid, becoming expansive under the influence of drink and Slughorn's flattering interest, stopped mopping his eyes and entered happily into long explanation of bowtruckle husbandry. The Felix Felicis gave Harry a little nudge at this point, and he noticed that the supply of drink that Slughorn had brought was running out fast. Harry had not managed to bring off the refilling charm without saying the incantation aloud, but the idea that he might be able to do it tonight was laughable. Indeed, Harry grinned to himself as he, unnoticed by either Hagrid or Slughorn, now swapping tales of illegal trade of dragon eggs, he pointed his wand under the table at the empty bottles, and they were immediately begun to refill. After an hour or so, Hagrid and Slughorn began making extravagant toast to Hogwarts, to Dumbledore, to elf-made wine, and to
Harry Potter!
Bellowed Hagrid, slopping some of his 14th bucket of wine down his chin as he drained it.
Yes, indeed,
said Slughorn, a little thickly.
Perry Otto, the chosen boy who, well, something of that sort.
He mumbled and drained his own mug too. Not long after this, Hagrid became tearful again and pressed the whole unicorn tail upon Slughorn, who pocketed it with cries of, "To friendship! To generosity! To 10 galleons a hair!" And for a while after that, Hagrid and Slughorn were sitting side by side, arms around each other, singing a slow, sad song about a dying wizard called Odo.
Are you two the god die young?
Muttered Hagrid, slumping low into the table, and a little cross-eyed, while Slughorn continued to warble the refrain.
My dad's was no age to go, nor were your mum and dad, Harry.
Great fat tears oozed at the corner of Hagrid's crinkled eyes again. He grasped Harry's arm and shook it.
Best witch and wizard of their age I never knew. Terrible thing, terrible thing. And oh, the hero, they brought him back home to the place that he'd known as a lad,
sang Slughorn plaintively.
They laid him to rest with his hat inside out, and his wand snapped in two, which was sad. Terrible,
Hagrid grunted, and his great shaggy head rolled sideways onto his arms, and he fell asleep snoring deeply.
Sorry,
said Slughorn with a hiccup.
Can't carry a tune to save me alive.
Hagrid wasn't talking about your singing, said Harry quietly. He was talking about my mom and dad dying.
Oh, said Slughorn, replacing a large bill. Oh dear, yes, that was. It was terrible, indeed. Terrible, terrible.
He looked quite at a loss for what to say and resorted to refilling their mugs. I don't suppose you remember it.
Oh, I don't suppose you remember it, Harry? He asked awkwardly.
No. Well, I was only 1 when they died, said Harry, his eyes on the flame of the candle flickering in Hagrid's heavy snores. But I've found out pretty much what happened since. My dad died first. Did you know that?
I didn't,
said Slughorn in a hushed voice. Yeah. Voldemort murdered him and then stepped over his body towards my mum. Slughorn gave a great shudder, but he did not seem able to tear his horrified gaze away from Harry's face. He told her to get out of the way, said Harry remorselessly. He told me she needn't have died. He only wanted me. She could have run.
Oh dear, breathed Slughorn. She could have. She needn't. That's awful.
It is, isn't it? Said Harry in a voice barely more than a whisper. But she didn't move. Dad was already dead. But she didn't want me to go too. She tried to plead with Voldemort, but he just laughed.
That's enough, said Slughorn suddenly, raising a shaking hand. Really, my dear boy, enough. I'm an old man. I don't need to hear. I don't want to hear.
I forgot, lied Harry. Felix Felicis leading him on. You liked her, didn't you?
Liked her? Said Slughorn, his eyes brimming with tears once more. I don't imagine anyone who met her would have liked her. Wouldn't have liked her. Very brave. Very funny. It was the most horrible thing.
But she won't help her son, said Harry. She gave her life, but she won't give me a memory. Hagrid's rumbling snores filled the cabin. Harry looked steadily into Slughorn's tear-filled eyes. The potion master seemed unable to look away.
Don't say that, he whispered. It isn't a question. If it were to help you, of course. No purpose can be served.
It can, said Harry clearly. Dumbledore needs information. I need information. He knew he was safe. Felix was telling him that Slughorn would remember nothing of this in the morning. Looking Slughorn straight in the eye, Harry leaned forward a little. I am the chosen one. I have to kill him. I need that memory. Slughorn turned paler than ever, his shiny forehead gleaming with sweat.
You are the chosen one?
Of course I am, said Harry calmly.
I think, my dear boy, you're asking a great deal. You're asking me, in fact, to aid your attempt to destroy.
You don't want to get rid of the wizard who killed Lily Evans?
Harry, of course I do, but...
You're scared he'll find out you helped me. Slughorn said nothing. He looked terrified. Be brave, like my mother, Professor. Slughorn raised a pudgy hand and pressed a shaking finger to his mouth. He looked for a moment like an enormously overgrown baby.
I'm not proud,
he whispered through his fingers.
I'm ashamed of what that memory shows. I think I may have done great damage that day.
You'd cancel out anything you did by giving me the memory, said Harry. It would be brave and noble thing to do. Hagrid twitched in his sleep and snored on. Slughorn and Harry stared at each other over the guttering candle. There was a long, long silence. But Felix Felicis told Harry not to break it, to wait. Then, very slowly, Slughorn put his hand into his pocket, pulled out his wand, put his other hand inside his cloak and took out a small, empty bottle. Still looking into Harry's eyes, Slughorn touched the tip of the wand to his temple and withdrew it, so that a long silver thread of memory came away too. Clinging to the wand tip, longer and longer the memory stretched, until it broke and swung, silvery bright from the wand. Slughorn lowered it into the bottle, where it coiled and then spread, swirling like gas. He corked the bottle with a trembling hand and passed it across the table to Harry. Thank you very much, Professor.
You're a good boy, said Slughorn.
tears trickling down his fat cheeks on his walrus mustache.
And you gotta rise. Just don't think too badly of me once you've seen it.
And he too put his head on his arms and gave a deep sigh and fell asleep. And so ends chapter 22 of Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, my friends. What a hell of a chapter. Quite the thing we've done there. Oh, that's very cold. Oh, very cold tea. No, there's almost nothing in there. I was just finishing off the last bit, and it's much more cloyingly sweet when it's cold. Which is interesting. I was not familiar with it. All right, my friends. What a wonderful night. I think that we are done with story time for tonight. So for anybody who does not hang out for the songs, I appreciate you for being here. And I wish you all the very best if you're headed off to bed. If you are sticking around for the last 3 songs, I will thank you for it. We will do Hoist Up the Thing, then we will do Misty Mountain, and then we will do Valhalla Calling if my throat is up to it. Thank you for reading. Of course, Milo. I appreciate you all spending time with me in the tavern tonight. Good night, Mary Beth. I'm so glad that you joined us again, and I hope that you rest well and you rise tomorrow ready to conquer the day, and that all the things that stand before you fall at your might. But yeah, I had to remove chapter 10 and replace it and make it chapter 12. It's mostly for character development. Those are all good things, Matty. Like, edit. That is the hardest thing about being a writer, is learning how to edit. If you can learn how to edit your work, you will be an infinitely better writer than 99% of writers on the planet. So edit. That's all. Right now, that's where you're at. You have the raw bones of it, now get in there and just chop and hack at things away. It's sad because you have to slay some of your darlings. You have to cut things out that you may not want to cut out, but it's worth it in the end. Dundee is ready for songs. All right, I'm ready for songs too. Let's get in here and do this, my friends. We'll start out with Hoist Up the Thing. I think that Milu requested this, if I am correct. I may or may not be. We have a long list of songs now that we sing that are exclusively from the Longest Johns. All right. Fresh out of college, with grades straight from hell, I browsed for a trade in which I could excel. I had for a ship in need of some manning, men, sails, and purpose, but lacking a captain. Yuki Rising, hello and welcome in. Grab your seat, we're not at the end, but you can join us for some shanties before we head off into the night. What luck, says I, to find such good fortune. A few white lies I'm tripping over myself. A few white lies later, I ran down the pier. I bought me a coat and a cutlass or two. I jumped on the deck and I yelled at the crew. Hoist up the thing, batten down the what's it. What's that thing spinning? Somebody should stop it. Turn hard to port. That's not port, now I've got it. Trust me, I'm in control. Or was it Tyson? All right. Is Tyson still in? Any which way. I can't sing the shanties, it has to be said, at least not tonight. And all of that grog goes right to my head. Whale meat is gross, and I miss a girl's laugh. 5 weeks at sea, even Dave seems a catch. Hoist up the thing, batten down the what's it. What's that thing spinning? Somebody should stop it. Turn hard to port. That's not port, now I've got it. Trust me, I'm in control. Yuki, thank you for the follow. You've marked us on your map, and now you'll be able to find your way back to the tavern whenever you seek a story. We've hit icy waters, no land to be seen. The food's getting low and the beer has gone green. There's murmurs of discontent under the deck. If I don't act fast, it could be my neck. So pull up the charts of those weird gold machines. No clue where a... Wait, did we get rated? Yes, we did. Okay, give me a second, friends. Let me get to the end of the song. Just pull on some levers and yank on some chains. Feign about back till we've landed again. Hoist up the thing, batten down the what's it? What's that thing spinning? Somebody should stop it. Turn hard to port. That's not port. Now I've got it. Trust me, I'm in control. Hoist up the thing, batten down the what's it? What's that thing spinning? Somebody should stop it. Turn hard to port. That's not port. Now I've got it. Trust me, I'm in control. Thank you for the song, my friends. Thank you kindly, Yuki. Let me give you a toot on the raid horn for having raided into the tavern. I appreciate you. Welcome in all of the friends and companions of Yuki Rising. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Viking raspberries for you there. Thank you kindly for joining us. So very glad that you could come in. Can I get a shout out for Yuki Rising from one of the barkeeps? Thank you kindly. All right, our next song. Yuki Raid, welcome in. Let's see, we had Nashi Trippin, welcome my friend. And Always Smile, welcome to you as well. Well, you just woke Elsie. I'm sorry, Esther, but I woke you in time for your song, because your song is next. Thank you, Matty. Appreciate you for that. But yes, to all of our new friends, I am Castle. This is my tavern. Here we talk about myth and lore and tales of yore. And every now and again, I read you all a bedtime story. This is a tavern at the end of the world where all stories eventually come to rest. And you found your way here because you were seeking a story. What were you doing tonight, friends? What was occupying you? Well, I see it was fortune, Esther. You forgot about the song, but Yuki raided in just in time for you to be awoken, so you could hear your song. Alright, friends, we're going to be doing the Peter Hollins version of Misty Mountains. I did a flash fiction about a toaster. Fascinating. That genuinely sounds fascinating. I'm not sure I know what a flash fiction is, but those combination of words are very intriguing. Well, and since you're all here for shanties, if you know the song, you join along. That's how we go. Thank you, Ashley. Appreciate your love. 150 words, it was a sci-fi. Oh, I see. So you write a flash fiction, 150 words, and it's in a certain genre. And you wrote yours about a toaster. Am I understanding that correctly? Brilliant. The talking toaster from Red Dwarf. Alright, settle in, friends. We're going to do Misty Mountains. Far over the misty mountains cold, to dungeons deep and caverns old, we must away ere break of day, to find our long forgotten gold. The pines were roaring on the height, the winds were moaning in the night, the fire was red, it flaming spread, the trees like torches blazed with light. The wind was on the withered heath, but in the forest stirred no leaf. Their shadows lay, be night or day, and dark things silent crept beneath. The wind went on from west to east, all movement in the forest ceased, but shrill and harsh across the marsh its whistling voices were released. Farewell we call to hearth and hall. The wind may blow and rain may fall, we must away ere break of day. Far o'er the wood and mountain tall, far over the misty mountains cold, to dungeons deep and caverns old, we must away ere break of day, to find our long forgotten gold. Thank you for the song, my friends. Esther says, Elsie and I particularly enjoy the song Misty Mountain. Thank you for the song, Castle. I would recommend performing it as your own. Your vocal performance is excellent. You flatter me deeply. Thank you, Esther. I appreciate you, and I'm glad you and Elsie enjoyed. Okay, let's see. We have one song left for the night, and it's enough to scare off our new friends, so we'll see if I can even get through it. So, we are doing Valhalla Calling next. Now, I'm sure if you have spent any time on TikTok or really anywhere on the internet, you've probably heard of Valhalla Calling. It's a Viking shanty written by Miracle of Sound. It is a very good song. It's very fun to listen to. It sounds very old. It's not old, but it sounds very old. And we sing it almost regularly. We sing the verses normally, but then or I should say we sing the chorus. We sing the verses normally, but the chorus we sing in a unique way called throat singing or druid song, which some people find very enjoyable, some people find it a bit grating, and it has been known to cause bleeding from the eyes, disruption of the nervous system as well as the vascular system. It has been known to cause a total shutdown of the lymphatic system, as well as spontaneous teleportation, reincarnation, isekaiing, and spontaneous pregnancy and death. We've warned you, you have been warned, you've been told, and we now cannot be held liable for any negative symptoms and effects that occur as a result of you listening to Valhalla Calling here in the tavern. You have been warned. You're welcome to stay or go, it's up to you. Spontaneous combustion as well, on occasion. Usually only on Wednesdays for spontaneous combustion. It's not a Wednesday, so you should be safe, but there are new symptoms developing all the time. And as the barkeeps have said, we cannot be held liable. Not even a little bit. And we will most certainly will not be held responsible. Okay, here we go. Your cat is. You see what he's doing?
Yeah.
He sees the mouse on the screen.
Yeah.
And he's getting ready to go for it. Ludicrous animal. All right, let us begin. I don't even know if Petra's still in here, but this song was requested by Petra. Hoist Up the Thing was requested by Tyson, and Misty Mountain was requested by Esther, or rather the ghost of Esther. All right, let us begin. Ships on the vigor of the waves are skimming, bearing summits to the verdant plains. Each horizon is a new beginning. Rise and reign. Far from the fjords and the ice-cold currents, ravens soar over new frontiers, songs and sagas of a fate determined, shields and spears. Vows of favor or the thrill of plunder, pulled together for the clan and kin, clank of hammers and the crash of thunder. Pound within. Excellent, Petra. Cover your ears if you don't like it. Could prevent bleeding. Oh, 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 the echoes of eternity. Oh, 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 Valhalla calling me. Oh, to pluck the strings of destiny. Oh, Valhalla calling me. Valhalla calling me. Sails are swaying on the crimson rivers, blood and glory in the fighting fields. Shields are shattered into splintered timbers, iron and steel. Fires are rising and the bells are ringing. Glory, take us into Odin's halls. Golden glimmer and the sound of singing as God's call. Oh, the echoes of eternity. Oh, Valhalla calling me. Oh, to pluck the strings of destiny. Oh, Valhalla calling me. Valhalla calling me. Wind and the waves will carry me. Wind and the waves will set me free. Wind and the waves will carry me. Wind and the waves will set me free. Oh, the echoes of eternity. Oh, Valhalla calling me. Oh, to pluck the strings of destiny. Oh, Valhalla calling me. Valhalla calling me. I wasn't quite able to hold those long ones there at the end. Still a little bit rough in the lungs. Thank you for the wonderful night, my friends. It has been an absolute pleasure to serve as your storyteller tonight. Thank you to everyone who joined this evening. Thank you to everyone who gifted or tipped the Tavern Keeper. It has been absolutely wonderful. If you are with us over on the Twitch portal, we'll be raiding a friend to share the Tavern love. But otherwise, tonight is where, or right now is where we end, I should say. But you made it through now. Rest your voice. I most certainly will, Milu. You'd have to fight me to stop me from doing so. Upside Down Ashley, thank you kindly. And to the Ashleys and Irish Hobbits and Val over on TikTok, you guys gifted the most on TikTok tonight. I appreciate you for that. Thank you kindly. Big thank you to Marina over on Twitch. Deeply appreciated for the tips to the Tavern Keepers, my friend. But yes, if you are anywhere except for TikTok, that was great. Rest well. Thank you, Christy. I hope you have a good night. Good night to you as well, Esther. Good night, Molly Sue and Milu and Bear and Matty and Petra, and to Ashley and Ed. Oh, and Big Ed, thank you for your gifts as well. I appreciate you. I didn't know if you were still in or not, but I appreciate you for your gifts, and I'll have another butterbeer ready for you when you come back. Good night, Teresa. Thank you all for being here. It's absolutely wonderful to have you. And, well, this is where we end for the night, and parting is always such sweet sorrow. The tavern portals will open again, and when that door appears before you, it will be because you are ready for another story. So, good night, Bear. Thank you for your help barkeeping tonight. And thank you to all of our wonderful barkeeps for helping us keep the tavern in order while my head is down. And for everyone who likes and shares, it is deeply appreciated. Esther, thank you for your subscription. Again, it never showed up for me, but I appreciate you for doing it. Tans McMeer, probably not right now, but I'll see what I can do for you, goblins. I'll see if I can learn it for you. All right, everyone, thank you so much for your time tonight. It has been an absolute joy. And while again it is sad we are parting, we will join together again. But until we do, I will bid you all stay bloodthirsty, my friends, and we will see you next time. Good night.
When she came to the last cup, she took the ring that she had been carrying with her and dropped it into the cup. Hi, Esther. Hello. Good to see you. Black Dragon, welcome in. Welcome in. Oh my goodness. How's it going? Thank you for the raid. We are reading a batshit story right now. Hi, Molly Sue. Hello, hello. You guys make sure you're following Black Dragon Tavern Gaming. If you like storytelling, you're gonna like it over there. Super cozy, super friendly, comfy tavern vibes, plus some singing. You fell asleep? Isn't the phrase little dwarf just a tad redundant? Perhaps. Yeah, he's extra small. You leave your heathens with me. Well, thank you very, very much. Welcome, you guys. We are celebrating 1 year of having partner, and we are reading some of the greatest hits, and then we're also going to be reading the first ever reading of a story that Chat actually wrote in a collaborative writing exercise game. So, yeah, right now we're reading The Seven Ravens. Okay, so she drops the ring into one of the cups. All at once there was a whirring and a fluttering noise in the air, and the dwarf said, "Now the Lord Ravens will soon be home." Thank you. Thank you for gifting that sub to Black Dragon. Thank you so much. Yeah. I can't believe it's been a year.